Hi. Excuse me. Hi, I'm Marsh from StrataGames. Today we are playing some more Esper CryoBlade, and we are going to be trying out some new cards in the deck, because apparently I didn't update the title as always, because I think I have a pretty solid main deck, to be honest, but it's always good to try out new cards as the deck is evolving and especially being brewed and, early stages of the deck. There are some new cards that I want to try out, and so we're going to do that today. And so one of the main ones, well, this is one that people talked about a lot in the beginning of the deck being played, was Moon Circuit Hacker. It's kind of another Glint Hawk Core Skyfisher because it can pick up your refurb, or it can pick up a Glint Hawk or a Skyfisher, which can then turn into picking up one of your artifacts for just a single mana. But of course, it also allows you to draw a card when you hit your opponent with it. So it does a little bit of everything that you want. Nothing wrong with that. One of the problems with it is that we were leaned a little bit more away from blue. Blue was mostly a splash originally, or at least in my list, with Cryogen Relic and Thoughtcast. Now with Hackers and Metallic Rebukes, which is another card we're going to be trying out, a couple of these. We're leaning a little heavier into blue. To be honest, for that reason, I did not switch this mana base much, but I think we'll just very simply add another blue land instead of black, because we're actually, I think this might be more blue cards, 13 versus 12 black cards. So yeah, we'll just make that small change. We still have a Bajuka Bog. I think the mana will generally be okay. Although, we're also playing another card, but to fit in the Hackers, the Rebukes, and the third card I'm going to mention, we had to cut a lot of cards that I think are pretty good, being like Navigator's Compass in the main deck is the one that our fixing could be a little bit worse, so we'll see how detrimental that is. But it feels like this type of deck, you cannot cut any Glint Hawks or Skyfishers or Refurbs. These are all too important. You need to have a good number of removal. Tithing Blades and Grim Baubles I think are important, simply just to cast down so that you have a no-nonsense way to just remove anything is important. You could, if you're leaning this way, you could remove Mirror Enforcers. I still really like the Mirror Enforcers, but you could remove them and remove like Blood Fountains instead of removing what I did, which was a lot of our other various utility. I removed our Navigator's Compass from the main deck, our Suffocating Fumes, the Raven's Crime that I like, some Thraben Charms, and some Eviscerator's Insights, which was basically more card draw. Since we have that in the Hacker, it shouldn't be too big of a deal. But I did remove a lot of utility because I just think Mirror Force is really good. So we're technically bringing in more threats with the Hackers. My concern, so because of that, people might think, oh, you could take out the Mirror Enforcers. My concern is that a Hacker is not really a great threat. The reason that I like this deck so much is because our threats are 12 flyers and just a 4/4 for 0 mana, right? So just really big or flying. Hacker's neither of those. It's just really small. It dies to everything. It gets blocked by everything. I'm not saying it can't be good, and it has good utility with these, but the effectiveness after the initial ninjutsu and drawing a card goes down substantially. So I don't really want to rely on this as a threat, which is why I didn't want to cut the enforcers. So in any case, we're going to keep trying that. The last card we're trying is Jolted Awake, which is a card that was suggested by a viewer, Ravenous, on YouTube. And so it is an unearth type of card, but it can also reanimate artifacts. So for a white mana, you can bring back an artifact or a creature, essentially with mana value 2 or less, although if you use one of them on like a 1-drop, and then you get another Jolted Awake, you could use it on a 3-drop, although we don't really have any 3-drops. You could also use 2 Jolted Awakes to get a 4-drop back or something like that. In any case, it's mostly just to recur any of our creatures, so this can turn into a Glint Hawk or a Skyfisher, or a Moon Circuit Hacker pretty easily, or it can bring back an artifact. It can bring back your Cryogen Relic if you sacrifice that, a Tithing Blade if that made its way into the graveyard, which we cut the Eviscerator's Insights, so that's less likely, but we also have Hackers that could like loot them away. But also, of course, Grim Bauble and Blood Fountain have sack effects on them themselves, so you could Blood Fountain to bring back 2 creatures, Jolted Awake to bring back the Blood Fountain, then bring back them again. So I think there's going to be some decent utility with Jolted Awake, so I'm pretty excited to try this one out. And yeah, those are the main cards that we're trying. The Moon Circuit Hacker. Metallic Rebuke was one that I actually had in my initial list, but I just had to cut it for room. And so now we're trying it again to make sure, to see if it's going to work. And then Jolted Awake. Our sideboard is looking pretty much the same. Dust to Dust, Thraben Charm, Blue Elemental Blast, Duress, a couple Suffocating Fumes. Instead of Arms of Hadar, we're trying that out. And a couple Navigator's Compass. So we're going to jump into a league right now and see how this does. So I have been, match right away. I have been enjoying the other version of Esper that I've been playing, but it's always good to try new cards, and for all I know, one of these will make its way into my main deck. This is a little slow, but we do have a turn 2 Relic, and then turn 3 we have Thoughtcasts that are really cheap, 1 mana, only one of them unless we get another blue land, and we have a Mirror Enforcer later. So, I mean, we're not going to throw this back, but we could definitely get a little run over by, like, red or something. Seed of the Synod does make it so we could double Thoughtcast later on turn 3, I believe. Looks like we might be against Gardens, Cycle Troll of Khazad-dûm. For Geothermal Bog, okay, it could also be Dredge. Gardens is sometimes Jund, so it could be either at this point. Ooh, so I could Seed of the Synod, Cryogen, or I could Vault of Whispers, Blood Fountain, Thoughtcast. That doesn't really change much, so I think I'd rather just get the Cryogen Relic down because it's more expensive. Another Thoughtcast, but next turn we can do Blood Fountain. Will put us to 6 artifacts, Mirror Enforcer, and then Thoughtcast. That's pretty good. Lembas. Okay, so Gardens is my guess then. Lembas would make little sense in Dredge. Another Mirror Enforcer, so definitely want to play Vault so that we can play Blood Fountain. That's going to be 6 artifacts, which means Mirror Enforcer is going to cost 1 and then 0, so we could still cast a Thoughtcast. So we might as well just start with a Thoughtcast in case I find like another 1 mana artifact. Another Mirror Enforcer. Well, this looks pretty good to me. Just 3 Mirror Enforcers on turn 3. If they are Gardens, they could have like a Crypt Rats or something, but that's still going to be a turn behind. I'm going to be able to attack with all of these. They could have a bunch of spot removal if they have like Cast Down, Defile, Snuff Out, but that's just going to take a lot of 1-for-1s, and so I'm very okay with that too. So Thorn of the Black Rose, because that would be a crazy card to play. Writhing Chrysalis. Okay, they just tapped wrong. I mean, Chrysalis is good against Mirror Enforcer, but ideally we can find a... Well, Tithing Blade is not bad. Now, obviously, it doesn't work great here, but if we attack first and they block and double, grow this up, then we can eat it later. We're going to start with a Thoughtcast. If I find, like, a Cast Down, that would be even better. Glint Hawk. I could, like, pick up the Tithing Blade. I think we'll probably just pick up the Relic, though. So, again, let's just do that now, because if I find a Cast Down, I don't have to throw a Mirror Enforcer away. But if I don't find anything, I am just going to attack with everything and Tithing Blade away the Chrysalis. Yeah. So if they do block everything, we're not going to deal any damage here, but we'll trade the Enforcer and the Tithing Blade for a Chrysalis. Okay. They just block here, but they're still sacrificing the spawn, so they're just wasting 8 life, I guess. Interesting. They can crack the Lembas. Okay. I guess if they want to do it that way, they are allowed to. We will Tithing Blade to wipe their Chrysalis. I mean, I'm happy with 8 free damage. Just wasn't expecting it. Offering the Lembas, which means they're not going to hit us with another Chrysalis this turn. They do have a Colony Garden for a blocker. Another Seat. Let's just kick things off with a Thoughtcast. Moon Circuit Hacker is pretty decent. I can do that for Glint Hawk. Get in for 6. We draw a card. And then I don't have enough blue to do as much as I'd like, because I'd like to play the Relic and then replay the Glint Hawk, but I can't do that. I think we will just play the Seat, though, so I can Hacker, and then Glint Hawk, and then I could just like maybe pick up the Tithing Blade, which is decent because it gets rid of a blocker next turn. They sack the plant token. Okay. Any Snuff Outs or anything? They do have one for the Enforcer that was not blocked. Ooh, and another one for the Hacker. Okay. Maybe I should have held the Hacker to get around to Snuff Out, but I didn't know that. They're at 4 life. I feel like, I don't know, I probably should just play the Glint Hawk. I could play Relic for more cards, or Glint Hawk for more aggro. When they're at 4, aggro feels decent. Plus, if they play like another Garden or something, a Tithing Blade to wipe it away is decent. I think that's fine. Although I'm also going to use this blood token, so I might as well just do it now, so that if I find like my 4th Enforcer or a Refurb, I could play that. But we didn't. That's okay. Bring back the Tithing Blade and we'll pass. And they got a Spell Bomb. That does make the Blood Fountain bad. I didn't have 4 mana after combat, or I would have probably just held up the Blood Fountain. I could have not done the Moon Circuit Hacker in case I needed the Blood Fountain, but that's not what I did. Okay, well, they have to have some removal here. They're drawing 2, and they're drawing more, so they don't have removal at the moment. If they find like a Defile, okay. So we got their game 1 against Gardens. We get Duress, and Thraben Charm is okay. It's removal. They have a little bit to do with their graveyard. Dust to Dust is okay because they could have their own Tithing Blades. They could have, of course, Spell Bombs, which would be nice to get rid of. They could have Campfires. I don't know if I care too much about Campfire, but it is a card they could have. We probably don't care about Bauble. Tithing Blade was okay there against the Chrysalis, but in general, it's bad against Chrysalis, so I think those are fine to cut. We'll keep the cast downs and the rebukes, so maybe bring in 1 Thraben Charm. Sure. We'll do that. This hand looks pretty good. We get turn 2 Relic, turn 3 Glint Hawk, assuming we don't get Troublemaker oofed or anything, which would be unfortunate, but we're good. Jolted Awake could be pretty good later, especially since they're certainly going to be killing our creatures. Draw 2 off the plant, and they just pass. Well, let's see, I'm at 8, so I can play these 2. I'm at 6. I pick up the Relic, I replay it, I draw 2, so I'm at 8 again. So I'd have to discard. Part of me wants to hold up a Rebuke for like a Thorn or something. I have a cast down for a Chrysalis. Could also just be better to play a Glint Hawk. I have a lot of lands, so I don't hate discarding a card here. Plus, Jolted Awake is kind of a second creature, but only if this Glint Hawk dies, so I think we'll just run this out and then play the Relic again. I can't now hold up Rebuke since I don't have the artifact, so if I could, maybe I would, but they're going to cycle a landscape. I mean, that's a good sign for us. We're a little flooded too, to be fair, though. Tithing Blade, okay. There goes the Hawk, but I can just Jolt it Awake, which I think makes sense. Bring back the Glint Hawk. I will pay an energy. Bring back the Relic. Duress is not bad. Let's do that, see what's going on. A whole bunch of card draw, and they do have a Spell Bomb, and we have a Blood Fountain, so I'm probably just take that, seeing as I can't really take any card draw. That I can't cut them off card draw. Sure, we'll just do that. And yeah, I could just play the Relic, but I actually can play Blood Fountain and hold up Rebuke this turn, which I'm not going to use on card draw since they have a bunch. I'll just use on something relevant they play, like a Chrysalis. Snuff out the Glint Hawk first. So that makes me think they tapped and then they untapped. Makes me think they have Thorn of the Black Rose. So I could counter this, but they can pay for it, so I'm not going to do that. But now if they play a Thorn, then I'm going to Rebuke it. Yeah, so good thing we had the counterspell there. They do play snow-covered lands here. That could just be Flare, but theoretically they could play Screds. Feels like with black, they probably have much better removal, so they don't need to, but just a thought. We only have 1 card in our graveyard, or 1 creature, so I don't really want a Blood Fountain here. I guess we're just trying to draw 2 more creatures and holding up our interaction. Witch's Cottage to get back the Thorn, which I currently don't have a way to deal with otherwise, so yeah, we're going to exile their graveyard, which does get an Eviscerator's Insight, although they could flash it back right now. They have a Pulsum Rasa for the Thorn? They do. Okay. Well, that is annoying. That might mean I want to Blood Fountain just the 1 Glint Hawk here. Oh, we get another Jolted Awake. That helps. I don't have to spend my Blood Fountain. We will bring back the Glint Hawk again. Pick up the Relic, get a seat, replay the Relic. Moonstrucker Hacker is not the best thing ever. Makes me, since they have the Thorn, it almost makes me want to just play the Hacker. Because if they just kill the Glint Hawk, Hacker is irrelevant. But every creature on the field makes Thorn worse. And we have a cast down to take out the Thorn. Plus, if they have to kill both of these, our Blood Fountain turns online. Yeah, we're going to play it. I could play another Blood Fountain right now, but that does not seem relevant. I'd rather just bluff another Metallic Rebuke so that they have to at least think about it. They're going to draw 2 on the end step here with an Eviscerator's Insight. And they have the Defile. Okay. 6 mana, just a Troll of Khazad-dûm. Okay, that's not a big deal. I can cast it down. They have Reckoner's Bargain, Thorn, and 1 Unknown. So let's just cast this down, get a loot, and I guess we're just playing another Relic. Still getting pretty flooded here. We took out the Raven's Crime, unfortunately, so there's no reason to bank lands. It'd be pretty good here, though, admittedly. Lembas, Scry to the top. They must not have removal, at least not that they can also play with the Thorn. Otherwise, I think they would just go for it. I mean, they'd probably do the whole removal first, and then if that works, play the Thorn. Glint Hawk is good. I guess I might as well play that first, in case I find another Ninja, and I can hack so I don't have to discard a card. Thoughtcast, let's play that. Refurb is good, but let's just... I could Relic here. They're going to probably try to remove some creatures, so it feels like maybe I just want to hold up Blood Fountain. Well, we'll swing 2 here. Loot again. Another Relic. I don't think I need... I guess they could have a Gorilla Shaman, so maybe I want Indestructible Lands, because if they have a Gorilla Shaman, we only have 2 Indestructible Lands so far. We'll kind of just lose. So let's just keep this. We don't really need to play an untapped land here anyway. Let's refurb them. I guess this is a little overkill. If they have a Crypt Rats, it's kind of bad, or a Drown in Sorrow. Maybe should have held the Familiar. In response, they're gonna Insight. Yeah, fair. Discard another Troll. Could be a little wasteful of mana. Like, holding up Blood Fountain could be good, because if they kill some of these, I can just use them right away, and then I can get them back. But if they don't kill anything on our turn and they wait till their turn, then it's kind of a waste. I think we'll just play a Relic, and I guess maybe tapping out is bad, because it says we have nothing to do, but we did it anyway. Drown in Sorrow is my guess. Yeah. Also, if they now have a way to, like a Bajuka Bog or something. Yep. I mean, that's part of why I wanted to hold up the Blood Fountain, but I talked myself out of it, and was pretty bad now. Worked out quite poorly. Pick up a relic with the Skyfisher. Okay, these are good draws. Play the relic. I probably didn't need to play that relic again because I have another Skyfisher and I have more relics on board, but we will play this, pick this up, another Skyfisher. So I can play another Skyfisher and still hold up Rebuke. If they have a Crypt Rats, I could Rebuke it. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. If they have a land and a Crypt Rats, I could still wipe all of the Skyfishers. Feels like I probably should not overcommit like I just did, but if they have 2 removal spells here, it's kind of annoying. We know they have a Reckoner's Bargain. Yeah, I guess we're just gonna pass. Yeah, I mean, that was a big misplay with the... I knew that I probably should hold up the Blood Fountain in case they had board wipe into Bajuka Bog, and then I was just like, well, what if that's a waste of mana, and then made the wrong play. Swing with a Thorn. I wouldn't be surprised to see them like just Relic or Reckoner's Bargain rather this after attacks. Fanatical Offering, actually, fair enough. Lembus. So they gotta look for 2 removal spells, but then I have the counterspell for one of them, so they actually need 3, or they just need 2 of them to be under 2 mana here, which could be with like a Snuff Out and a Cast Down. Monarch, they're gonna pass. Upkeep, they're gonna cast down. Sure. They have 3 mana, so I can't stop that. Defile, I can try to stop that. Okay, that worked. Jolted Awake, too. Not bad. Nice. We take the Monarch. Very good. So now, this is actually my 3rd Jolted Awake, so theoretically I could pick up like a Refurb or something with it, but we just want the Skyfisher, and I think I will do this now. Pick up a Relic, draw a card. That's our 4th relic. There's a Refurb, but I don't think we need to commit more to the board, especially now that we have the Monarch. We don't even need to be very aggressive. Then again, we are at 21 cards in deck, so I suppose there's always the chance we mill out. I think we'll pass here. Next turn, I can Refurb them twice. They crack the Lembus to a bargain. There's a Chrysalis, which will cast down. They bargain it away. We get an Enforcer. Swing for 4. Yeah, we don't really need to just draw a million cards now, so let's just try to take some cards from them. Discard a Swamp, and then Offering a plant, or a spawn rather. Discard a Drown in Sorrow. I guess, yeah, that's not super relevant against the Skyfishers. And this is enough damage. We're just gonna pass. I could Enforcer, but if they have a Crypt Rats, I'd like to not lose everything. There's another Chrysalis. We should have 1 more cast down. Yep. And there's another Thorn in the Black Rose. That's interesting. We could probably take that back, although we do have to throw something away, but we probably want to attack them anyway. Also, we were a little worried about milling out with this. If they don't have a Campfire in their main deck, they would be the ones milling out, but they could just have a Campfire, so I'm not really going to bank on that. I will discard a land to this Blood. The Refurb, Glint Hawk. Well, I'm going to attack for 6. Interesting they don't block the Refurb here when it's the only different one. I know it has lower toughness, so maybe that's why, but I'm going to pick it back up and I can eat 3 of their cards this turn. We take the Monarch, and we can draw to the Moon Circuit Hacker. I guess I don't have to, but still feels like I probably want to. I can't take every single card from their hand. If I could, I would, but they could keep 1 Crypt Rats, and I still just not in a great spot. I don't really want to take damage here, though. I guess I will play Refurb as a blocker, but also if it dies, I can bring it back with a Blood Fountain. They're gonna Offering away a map, discard a land. Yeah, I'll play another one, and we'll pass here, holding up 2 Blood Fountains. So if they do, like, wipe the board and even have, like, a Crypt Incursion or something like that, can have 2 ways to get around it. Duress is a good draw. Also, they discarded a Cast Down for their second card, so they have a bunch of good spells, it seems. Spell Bomb, for example, is one. But again, we have 2 Blood Fountains, so we might be able to get around that. Troublemaker Oof, well, I guess if that targets a Blood Fountain, and now it goes for a Refurb. Fair enough. Can't do anything about that. Just the Thorn attacks. I could block. I think it's fine. If I block, I lose one of my attackers, then my attacks are really quite bad, whereas they're not necessarily amazing here. I'm going to crack a Relic to keep this Thorn tapped, though. Another Glint Hawk. All right, we're going to kick things off with a Duress, see what they got going, and I can, if they have no removal or anything relevant, I can maybe double Refurb them. They Defile a Skyfisher in response. That's fine. And they have a Troublemaker Oof and a Haunted Mire. Okay, so no Crypt Rats. I have to hope they don't draw it, but I can Glint Hawk the refurb them, do it again. They spell bomb in response. Well, I'm gonna Skyfisher, or rather, I'm gonna crack a Blood Fountain for the Skyfisher, but they're trying to keep their Troublemaker Oof, which makes sense. Although it allows us to not spend both of our Blood Fountains to get our Skyfisher's back, so I don't know if it really makes sense, because now I can Skyfisher the refurb again. They do discard the oof, which makes it seem like they drew something better. So we'll try to take their last card. We do tap out here, so if they are able to just draw Cryptrats or something, that's not phenomenal for us. It was a Chrysalis. We'll play an Enforcer. We will leave them with the Monarch this turn, but next turn we have 8 in the air, some other stuff. Map onto a Troublemaker oof. They find a swamp. Draw for Monarch. Well, I'm going to Thoughtcast Bajuka Bog. We could Thoughtcast again. We're getting low on cards, but we'll do it anyway. We have one more cast down. Oof. I don't know if I want to keep drawing for it, because if we do get the Monarch and we don't kill them instantly, which we won't here, then we could just mill out to it. I will swing. It doesn't feel like there's a ton of sense to attack with the ground creatures, but even if we clear a couple spawn, it can make way for the Mirror Enforcers next turn, the other Mirror Enforcers. And they do just block both of these. No, they want to trade with this guy. Fair enough. Sack the spawn, cast down a Skyfisher. Okay, hit for them down to 6. I have another couple Enforcers. Blood Fountain these back, and I can take their 2 cards with the refurb, which was that swamp we knew about, pick up the refurb, another Chrysalis, and we're going to Bajuka Bog them. They get a Lembas. Not a bad draw. Crack it right away, so they have a chance of drawing it again, which could keep them alive for a turn, which makes sense. One of their main win cons is just us milling out here. They get a Troll of Khazad-dûm. That is not going to keep them alive, I don't think. I guess we don't quite have lethal. They have 1 too many blockers. They go to 1? Huh. We can draw more cards. I know there's a cast down, but that seems very risky. I think we'll just attack with everything. We'll still put them to 1, and they'll have to lose these guys, but not being able to kill them here is annoying. Man, the amount of repeats on refurb you're doing is disgusting. It certainly is. One of the reasons I think this deck is really good is that you can just keep stealing all of their cards for forever. So we're going to keep a Troll and a Writhing Chrysalis. I don't think there's a reason to commit any more creatures to the board. They can attack me to get the Monarch. That's fine. I just should have them dead here, and I don't want to throw out any more guys. Even a Cryptrats doesn't save them unless they draw like a Lembas to gain life first, because now they're at 1. They will attack us for 5, and they will pass. I could crack a Relic to keep this tapped. I don't think there's any reason we should draw cards at the moment, since we're at 3 in deck, but they certainly don't have anything to kill all these guys, and we win the match. Yeah, this is why Refurb is just a busted card. Absolutely crazy. Jolted Awake was pretty sweet that match, I will say. Mostly was just an extra copies of Glint Hawk, but nothing wrong with that. Metallic Rebuke was also really good. Countering the Thorn on turn 4 or 5, whenever it was, and then countering the Defile so that we could take the Monarch. Those are both really, really good. And then Hacker was fine. Nothing outrageous there, but reasonable. That turn that they played an oof, if they had played both oofs and exiled both refurbs, the game is completely different. Yeah, I agree. I wasn't sure exactly why they just held one. It definitely seemed a little strange. We were against Luminati, who's going to be playing more than likely Terror, Mono Blue, maybe Dimir. We have Tithing Blades, so generally I think this is a decently favored matchup for us. Tithing Blades are really good. Cast downs are good, but, you know, we'll see. Double Jolted Awake is not doing anything at the moment. In fact, we might cycle one here. Not having a Cryogen Relic is unfortunate, although if they just had a Spell Pierce, that would be not the best thing ever. Yeah, I think just drawing some more relevant cards. I mean, being able to get another copy of Glint Hawk if they counter it's pretty nice, but currently it's like the Cryogen Relic that I'm worried about resolving, which I guess actually Jolted Awake can be more copies of that. So maybe I shouldn't get rid of it, but this is actually pretty cool, because if they counter this, well, they counter it with the Spell Pierce. So they could have another one theoretically, but I'm going to just go for it right now. Try to Jolted Awake the Cryogen, pay 2 energy, and get it back anyway. Very nice. Okay, that's sick. Now, I found the Cryogen almost immediately, so that makes me kind of regret cycling the first Jolted Awake. But if we didn't find another Cryogen for several turns, like, it could be very different. Another Glint Hawk. Well, we're going to just start with the Thoughtcast. See if they want to counter that. They don't. So I think I could Glint Hawk, but they could counter that. I could Mirror Enforcer. They could counter that. I think we just pass, and then next turn we can play all 3 of these. And ideally, they can only counter 1 or 2 of them. Another Thought Scour hits Sleep of the Dead and makes it so they have 6 spells in grave. That's pretty good. There's a Terror. Just 1, though. Thoughtcast. Yeah, we'll start with another Thoughtcast. Another Jolted Awake is pretty cool. So I guess we Vault first, play a Mirror Enforcer. I kind of assume they don't care about that. Then I Glint Hawk, they counterspell, and I Jolted Awake. Or I could just do another Glint Hawk, probably. Yeah. Since there's a chance they could have a Spell Pierce there, plus this could just be more, could be other things later. Bring back the Relic, and we'll pass. Now we have a decent double block. They can break that up with a Sleep of the Dead or a Demon Inferior, but they're probably not playing Boomerang or anything, so if they go to attacks, I know I can probably just trade. Well, they're still attacking, so maybe that's not true if they have a Boomerang or something, but generally if Boomerang's lost a little bit of relevance, plus if you're playing Demon Inferior, you're not usually playing both, and I'm very happy with that trade. Okay, yeah, fair enough, it's just because they have more of these guys. Moon Circuit Hacker's pretty interesting. They know we have Relic in hand. Yeah, let's Moon Circuit, draw a card. Another Enforcer's good. I think we play Cryogen. This probably gets countered, but then we can Jolt it Awake. It doesn't. Okay. They'd prefer to go for the creature, it seems. They know we have the Glint Hawk, so we probably just start with that. That gets countered. Hope they don't have a Spell Pierce as I Jolt it Awake. Jolt it Awake is doing a lot of work. Pick up the Relic. Oh, I did make a mistake. I should have... It probably won't matter because I didn't need this mana. But I should have played the Enforcer before the Jolted Awake because I had 7 artifacts, and now I did not. So technically I could be holding up a mana that they might have to play around. I don't think it'll make that big of a difference. Unfortunately, I don't get a double block here that doesn't trade both our guys. They just have a Lorien to try to catch up in some value. I think I'd probably still take that trade, but yeah, they don't want to, which is fair. Skyfisher. Okay, so now I could like attack with the Enforcer and the Glint Hawk, and if they block, I can Grim Bauble the Cryptic Serpent. I think that's pretty good. Question is, do I want to like Skyfisher the Hacker so that I can pick up the Glint Hawk and I can use that to pick up Cryogens again? Probably, right? It's more mana intensive, but it's an extra card draw. I should tap the black here because we don't have much to do with our black right now. But I'm going to pick up the Hacker, swing with the team. The only counter spell I'm expecting at 1 mana in the main deck is Spell Pierce, so I'm just going to play around that for the Grim Bauble. And we haven't seen them have it for the last couple turns, but of course they just played a Lorien Revealed, so they could have drawn it. But the fact that we get to attack for 4 here and either make a pretty favorable trade for us or just get in for 6 is pretty nice. Also, since they have Sleep of the Dead, it's harder to like leave everything back on blocks and the like. Oh, I forgot to Moon Circuit Hacker because I was thinking about everything else. So that's annoying, but still not a bad turn for us. Just, that was definitely a misplay. Cryogen, and if they have the Spell Pierce, they can get me with this, but I'm going to throw out another Cryogen. All right, and we pass. So yeah, instead I would have Hackered, drawn a card there, replayed the Glint Hawk, so I'd have more damage next turn if they don't play another Terror. Plus, yeah, it would have been a lot better. Let's not forget it this time. Tithing Blade's a really good draw. I guess I'd probably pick up the Skyfisher this time with the Hacker. It's obviously more mana, but then it allows me to pick up the Hacker with the Skyfisher again if I want to. We'll get in for 4 and Skyfisher. I don't actually think I want to. Now that I have removal, I just want as much damage. They counterspell. Fair enough. Get to Glint Hawk, back the Relic. Another Tithing Blade is phenomenal. And we have a Metallic Rebuke. Okay. We're in a pretty good spot here. If they have like another Lorien, I can actually counter it. If they just do a bunch of cantrips and stuff into a Terror, maybe I can counter that. Or, because I don't actually care about these that much because I have removal, maybe I just hold this up for a counterspell of theirs. Looks like they're going to Sleep of the Dead. I could counter that. I don't think that's necessary. I think I'd rather hold this for a counter spell or something else. I'm just gonna cast down, since Tithing Blade gets around Ward. They have a Dispel, I will Rebuke that. Get our value while we can. They have another Dispel, so be it. Then I will Tithing Blade them after all. Mirror Enforcer and swing for 4, and they had enough. This is definitely a favored matchup for us. There was a lot of really good things we had going. Duress is good, and Thraben Charm is decent because it can be creature removal and it can exile Graveyard. Of course, all of our removal is pretty good, except Grim Bauble. It catches an early Delver, but that's it. Can be really important to catch that Delver, but I don't know. I guess Grim Bauble wasn't bad there either, as letting an Enforcer trade with a Serpent. So maybe it's fine, but we do have to make some cuts for these, obviously. Rebuke I do think is good, being able to fight over the stack. Hacker seems okay. They do have a lot of big guys that as soon as they come down, if I don't have the removal, they get stonewalled pretty quickly. Maybe we can cut like one of those. Blood Fountain seems pretty good. Slow, but not bad. They're going to bring in probably a Nulls or Steel Sabotages. Good to keep in mind. Actually makes Jolted Awake even better though. If they counter an artifact, then we can bring it back for 1 mana. Yeah, I'm kind of feeling the Hackers can just kind of go here, I think. I think I like everything else a little bit better, so we'll do that. So I'm just certainly going to keep any hand that's pretty reasonable, but we're specifically looking for Tithing Blade and ways to bounce it, or, maybe some quick enforcers or something as nice blockers or attackers. But, I mean, even just having a couple early thought casts and things kept us way ahead in value. They started to catch up to us in cards when they started casting Lorians, but they're spending 5 mana on that. We're spending a lot less on ours. Not to mention they started matching us in card advantage in hand, but we had more lands and more permanents on the battlefield. So Lorien Revealed's really the only value the Terror deck has. Everything else is like cantrips, 1-for-1s, and it's tempo, so like Sleep of the Dead and Demon Inferior, which are not fully card advantage in any way. This hand is pretty reasonable, except for the 1 land, which we obviously can't keep. This one's missing blue, but we have 3 castable cards, plus not too far from an Enforcer, and we just need blue for the relics. We're going to keep it. Ooh, we have to put 1 back, so that's tough. Enforcer, I guess we're still 4 artifacts from Enforcer, kind of. I think relics too good. We're going to hope to find blue. And we have a lot of blue sources, so. But we can do a turn 2. If we don't draw anything that we want to, changes our plan, we can do a turn 2 Familiar, turn 3 Skyfisher, which might be the way to go. They're tanking. Not sure which island to play first. It's a tough question, to be sure. Well, I meant to say this at the top of the show, but I think... Ooh, Early Delver's interesting. We do get our blue mana, though. I think we're going to try playing Esper CryoBlade a couple of times this week. I'm going to try to stream a little bit more. I can't promise anything, but some combination of Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday afternoons I'm going to try to stream. And we are going to probably just keep playing this deck. I need to get some more reps in with it. And I've been playing a lot of various different decks, which is fun. But I feel like I've been slipping a little bit, making a lot of misplays and things that I don't really want to be doing. And so my solution is let's just recalibrate, play the same deck over and over, and try to play as perfectly as possible. Now here we have a tough question, because they probably have an annul either way, whether we play Refurb or Cryogen. But if they don't, maybe Spell Pierce, Relic is more susceptible. But of course Refurb gets cheaper later, although next turn we're going to play a tap land, so it doesn't actually matter what's cheaper unless we draw another Refurb. Plus Refurb blocks right away. I think we've talked ourselves into it. The main factor, I think, is that this doesn't get gotten by Spell Pierce. Annul still catches either, but Spell Pierce, we're just closing the amount of cards they could have to counter, and it's a nice blocker. They can't really... If they want to Sleep of the Dead it, that's fine. If they want to Demon Inferior it, that's also fine. It not only uses their whole turn, but we get to just get it back in a turn or 2. And they're going all in on this Aberration, which means, let's see what we draw. Thoughtcast. Okay, so I can Bridge and Relic right here safely, which is pretty nice. Probably what I want to do. I could just cast this down while they're tapped out. Not a terrible idea, but we know we have the Refurb on top. So between Refurb and Skyfisher, which I can both cast next turn, I should be able to get something down that can block this next turn, even if they counter one of them. Maybe they have, 2 counter spells, a null and counter spell, something like that. We're going to hope that's not the case. But yeah, that just resolves, so seems pretty good. In which case, I don't really want to run a Skyfisher into a counter spell if they were saving it. Plus, we just still get to hold up cast down, so not necessarily a full waste here. Brainstorm into Ponder, play a land, and there's a Terror. Okay, we can just 4 mana kill this Terror to cast down. Probably will have to. Or I could just like Glint Hawk. Ooh, I could Glint Hawk, take their last card with the Refurb, and I could Skyfish the Relic. Then we have enough blockers for the Terror. I really like taking their last card. We are at 11 though. Yeah, for that reason, let's just play it safe. If they have another Terror next turn, then this is going to feel worse because I won't have taken their last card, and then they can just play another Terror, and we don't have a removal spell for it. Terror or Serpent, but I think it's okay. There is a Serpent. Now let's hope they don't have a counter spell. Oh, we're going to just Glint Hawk and Refurb if they don't do anything here. I could have attacked first, but there's a chance they block. I don't know. They discard another Serpent. Okay, not bad for us. I can just Chump Block and then Jolt it Awake, but I could also just Glint Hawk here and then triple block. Actually, let me just... Actually, wait. Yeah, let's just Glint Hawk, and then I can also Thoughtcast. They don't do burn damage. Feel like you want to get loose with your life? Yes, that's generally... I mean, that's true. They don't do burn damage. And certainly I'm willing to take hits for if I need to, but Terror is a very scary deck to be under 10 life, especially against, and also like under 8 life. Like if we took a hit and went to 6 and they have their Delver and their terror, and then they draw like a Sleep of the Dead and are able to tap 2 of our creatures, and we're not anticipating that can just kill us. So yeah, no burn damage, but Sleep of the Dead can punch through. So if I was at 20, certainly I wouldn't be worrying about life. When I get around 10 against terror, I get pretty nervous because they can just have a way to tap all our blockers sometimes. I think the cast down was the safer play, but I don't necessarily think it was wrong. I just felt like we had too much value that I didn't want to lose to them just punching through a hole there. This one's a little awkward because we don't have white and we don't have 2 artifact lands, but we just have Cryogen relics. We also have a Grim Bauble for an early creature, although another awkward thing is we have a tap land, so we can't bauble and then relic. But I don't know, double relic just seems good enough to me. Crystal Grotto, probably some sort of Tron or Cycle of Generosent in response. Could be Delver, not Delver, what? We just played against Delver. Dredge was what I meant to say. Could still be either Tron or... well, actually, if it was Dredge, this would be Surveil, wouldn't it? So it's probably Monster Tron, because that's the deck that would play these both. Relic into Refurb. If we don't find another land, it's going to be awkward, because Refurb costs 2 mana. Thoughtcast costs 3. Portcullis Vine. Okay, well, you have shocked me. Sack a creature with Defender for 2 mana and tap, draw a card. Okay. So it's like walls something? Really weird. I'm hoping to hit a land with this relic, but yeah, I think I just play this because the next turn, worst case, I can play a refurb and then the Thoughtcast. I could just refurb here and that lets me hacker next turn. That might be better, but I don't know. I think I like getting the Thoughtcast going. Yeah, there's a Caretaker. Okay, so it is walls. Was not expecting that. I mean, I was not expecting the Vine. Also, the Grotto is interesting, but... Grim Bauble doesn't kill anything here. Really all we have to do is this refurb, and then I can either Thoughtcast or hold up a Rebuke and discard a Forest. I mean, they're going to have 6, 7 mana, so Rebuke might be good because they could just send something off, but I kind of think I just need a Thoughtcast here. We get the seat, so we get paid off. We also get to Rebuke here. Well, we're going to do that. If they go for like Lead the Stampede, I can't actually Rebuke it though. Quarian Ranger is also going to make Rebuke pretty bad. Crashing Drawbridge. Tap for 4, untap it. Winding Way. Finds 3 forests and a Tuk-Tuk Rebel for it. Okay. I can deal with that. They do have multiple ways to give haste. I could Rebuke, but that does not do anything. It taps their battlement, which doesn't matter. So let's not waste it. I mean, they do have ways to draw cards. They can turn their defenders into card draw. I can attack with the refurb and they block with the rebel for it, and then I can Grim Bauble it. I'll probably do that, but let's start with a Thoughtcast. Actually, it probably just makes more sense to bauble the Ranger when they already have 2 ways to give haste. Not to mention they could just sack this to draw a card. Cast down's pretty good though. I could just cast down the battlement. That way they don't have that much mana. They have haste, so if they draw like an Axebane Guardian, they have mana, but then they don't have anything else. Well, they have drawn maybe off of the Vine. Well, there's not really a reason to not attack, even just as like a bluff. Maybe they just don't risk it. They do though. So I can cast down the battlement. Then they only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana. Then next turn I can bauble and Rebuke. That's probably best. If I cast down now, they get to draw a card off of it though. If I just kill this, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 mana still. So anything they draw is really good. Yeah, we gotta just kill this. I could do it in their upkeep, so they can't draw an extra card, but then we have to discard a card, which maybe isn't the end of the world. We have a lot of these white creatures we can't play. But yeah, they sack it, draw a card, and we're gonna discard a Skyfisher, because I can't imagine playing all 5 of these this game. They draw another battlement, fair enough, and a Wall of Roots, okay. Sack something to the Vine, just the Wall of Roots. Look for a new card. They find a Lead the Stampede, lucky. And they dug a couple cards, but 2 Axebanes and a Secret Door. Okay, untap, battlement, 6 mana. They can just play 2 Axebane Guardians and then Secret Door for a bunch. So these make 8 mana apiece. Things are not going well. Mostly because we don't have white mana. If you go into here, they gain a life, scry 1, create a treasure, scry 2, and then in a couple activations, they get to draw 2 cards, essentially. Scry 3, actually draw 3 and cast 1 with it for free. Okay, yeah, treasure, and they scried 1 to the top. Another Vault of Whispers. Well, I can take out a Ranger, but what does that matter at this point? I can attack and they block. I can take this up. They have haste regardless. And I can hold up a Rebuke, but that doesn't matter. So I guess I just crack a Relic to keep one of these tapped. That doesn't even matter that much either. None of this really matters. But at least the cracking the Relic draws us a card. Maybe lets us hit white if we have any chance of surviving here. They could Quarian it in response, which they probably should, but we'll see if they remember that. They don't. or they choose not to use it. I get another refurb. I guess that draws me a card, which gets us closer to, well, now they use it to untap it, but yeah, I guess that's about the same. And they discard a forest, so we don't draw a card. Okay, fair enough. Attack. And we have a rebuke in case they use all of their 30 mana, or whatever they have. They get Adrift of Phantasms, which just gets them freed from their eel, makes infinite mana, and then they can kill us with the secret door. Okay, well that was annoying. Thraben Charm is really all we have as more creature removal. Suffocating Fumes gets Quirion Ranger. Metallic Rebuke loses value very quickly, but I guess has some utility. Tithing Blade. Bauble. Felt like maybe we could make something work with the Bauble. It just didn't work there. I think we take out like a Blood Fountain and maybe a Jolted Awake, because it doesn't... They're not going to kill our guys. So maybe we don't even need the Jolted Awakes at all, because if we're already sacrificing relics or Grim Baubles, it's pretty late. So I guess Fumes is probably better than that. They both cycle, but this at least could maybe kill a Quirion Ranger. Is my thought process. We don't have like oodles of removal, but we have a good number, so I feel like it's not the best match for us for sure, but it should be okay, I think. Honestly, the Portcullis Vine definitely did some work. Drew him lead the Stampede on a turn where they didn't have much else otherwise. I'm being told that I have a network error. Possible my internet went out. Well, are we back? Seems like cool. We are back. Yeah, just some sort of glitch with the old internet, it seems. But as long as you can hear me and see me, I think we're good. This hand is atrocious. This hand is pretty bad too. However, Tithing Blade's decent. I guess a couple of your early Mirror Enforcers could be okay. I don't really want to go to 5. We have to find black mana, and then we still don't have white mana. Well, what are you going to do? I think I get rid of a land, because as much as lands are important for the Enforcers, I already really want to draw white and black mana. So having 3 lands and wanting to draw more is just not really where I want to be. So ideally we just get some. Well, I mean, I do think if we just get 3 Enforcers early, we could have a shot at winning just by attacking quickly, but we're really gonna need some lands. Vault of Whispers would be great, so I can Tithing Blade here. Metallic Rebuke. Well, now I wish I kept the Seed of the Synod, but I mean, I could probably counter something here, which is not terrible, but yeah, well, they played their land first, smartly, so I can't counter the Quirion Ranger. Otherwise, I would. They're just going to pass. I guess they're too afraid of the counterspell. Oh, boy. All right. I mean, I know it wasn't a great hand to keep. I admit that, but still. Now they play the Axebane, where they can have 1 mana, untap 2 mana, so they can't actually pay for this. So I might as well. If this resolves, they're going to be able to pay for pretty much every rebuke from then on. So they do still have 3 mana to play like another one, which they do. Yep. Attack for 1. Come on. I mean, bad mulligan, bad keep. Winding Way finds a Masked Vandal. Great. Get rid of one of our lands and a Shield Wall Sentinel. I think that's probably just going to be the game. But I will see I'll see what we draw. Because if we draw like an Ancient Den, maybe we have a shot, but it seems unlikely. Actually, I should maybe just crack the Cryogen Relic in response there. Kind of feels like we just need the relic around, but I believe we are dead regardless. Drift of Phantasms. Phantasms? Phantoms? Yeah, Phantasms. All right, we have lost. If I had kept that Seed of the Synod, it would have been slightly different. I could have played a Mirror Enforcer, and then I could play another one and held up Rebuke, and then I could play another one and start attacking. I mean, I maybe have a shot there. Once they get the Vandal, if they still do, they take one out. Honestly, they were slow enough that could have just won the game. So maybe that, like, it was not a great hand to keep, but maybe I could have just kept the land and been okay. I didn't know I was going to have 3 Enforcers, to be fair, but if that was my game plan, how do I win this game? Oh, I just get a couple Enforcers down, then I should have kept the seat for that reason. So yeah, I think that was a mistake, but we're 2-1. Let's see what we can do about the next match. Yeah, I think, just thinking about it more, I should have either mulliganed again or kept the land and just gone for the guys. Hey, what's good? Not much. What's going on with you? We are playing some Esper CryoBlade, trying some new cards out. Currently 2-1, just lost to Walls because of some bad mulligans and bad decisions. Classic. Eto _ has subscribed with Prime. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I believe you might be our 5th or 6th subscriber. I believe the first 10 people to subscribe get a founder badge that you're going to have forever. So if you want to get that, you should throw some money my way, I guess. And if you have, Amazon Prime, you get a free one. What's the idea behind this version? The idea is basically just that I have some cards I want to try out that I have not tried yet. Let me pull up the list here. We had a little snafu with the internet, so the list is not pulled up. But the main thing is that I'm trying out Jolted Awake as a way to recur any of our bouncers or any of our artifacts that go to our graveyard, which has been working pretty well so far. We're trying out a couple Metallic Rebukes, a card that I hadn't been able to fit in previous versions, and we're trying Moon Circuit Hacker, which is a card that a lot of other people seem to like in the deck. I am hesitant about it, and currently I'm not loving it. But yeah, I had the first version of the deck that I played with a little tune-ups was pretty good already. So I've been really happy with it, but I don't want to miss out on other potentially good cards just because I've kind of shoehorned myself into playing the same cards. So we're trying out some new ones and seeing if anything is something I want to carry over into my main list. Looks like we're playing against something blue, and I'm just going to put down this Hacker. This is not a great hand. I did keep it because we have some playables, some interaction. Tithing Blade could be pretty good. But it's not doing great so far, but Hacker could hopefully draw us out of this. And Mistfall Bridge is not bad. Hi, I love your content and mainly play Black Sack in my locals each week. Thanks to all the work you've put into it. I am really glad to hear that. I'm glad you enjoy the deck. I'm glad everyone else seems to enjoy the deck quite a bit. And yeah, thank you so much for playing it. And thanks again for the sub. All right, so we can... I don't love throwing away Glinthawk because they're so good. Tithing Blade could be bad if they're like High Tide or something. But they could also be Terror and just not have a Thought Scour. So I think we're keeping that for now. I think I'm just going to get rid of a Glinthawk. We have the Jolted Awake to get it back. Although I might be just cycling this depending on what they do. I don't know. We will see. If they don't do anything here, I'm going to just assume they're High Tide. So I'm going to cycle this Jolted Awake. Cast Down. If they are High Tide, doesn't do us much good either. Refurb is good though. Well, I'm going to attack. If they're like fairies and they flash into Brine Barrow, they get us, but they didn't do that last turn, so we're going to loot, and Blood Fountain's not bad. It gets us to our Enforcer. I think I am just going to drop a Cast Down, assuming they are High Tide at the moment. This is 3, 4, 5, 6, so I could put down an Enforcer, although I probably should just hold up Metallic Rebuke. Let's play the Refurb first to see what they discard, or if they counter it or whatever. That'll give us more information. Brainstorm in response. Could still be Terror or High Tide. Just Terror's usually cast something by now. So I'm going to assume... I mean, they'll probably discard like an island here with the Brainstorm, but yeah. Okay, I think we'll play a Blood Fountain and hold up Metallic Rebuke to not get got by the High Tide, ideally. 3, yeah, because I could play a 1-mana Enforcer, which speeds up our clock. I like that a lot, but it doesn't matter if we die next turn. Cycle a Lorien, and we will just counter the first High Tide we see. Even if they have another land, it would tap them out of mana. Murmuring Mystic. It could still be High Tide. Sometimes they play one of these in the main deck. I have a Tithing Blade for that, so I'm not going to counter it. Was not what I was expecting, but now we can Tithing Blade, Mirror Enforcer, still hold a Rebuke, and still get in for 4 here. And I think we'll just bin a Skyfisher. Yeah, we get our Goldmire as well. I mean, I'm inclined to say it's not High Tide because the Mystic in the main deck makes less sense, but Thought Scour, maybe it is Terror. Okay. They just didn't have anything to cast for a million turns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards in their graveyard. 5 spells. Now Deep Analysis. Okay. I guess it's Terror. We're going to counter that Terror. See if they want to fight over it. They have a Dispel. Okay. I mean, they got us to discard a Cast Down that I probably would not have otherwise. But other than that, I'm kind of okay with it, I think. We do get to Glinthawk this Tithing Blade. They could Spell Pierce it, so I'm going to play a Refurb first, because if they have a Spell Pierce, they might think, oh, well, it's not very valuable, and they get rid of it, and then we are able to get them. They discard an island. I could also just pick up like a Refurb, but if we get Tithing Blade to go off, I think we just win, because they take 8 here. Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, I'd rather play against Terror. I think we have a much better matchup against that. I just was not expecting them to not play anything for so long. Probably same sideboard we did last time. It worked pretty well. Take out the Hackers and the Grim Bauble for Duress and Thraben Charm. Everything else I think is pretty solid. Well, Bojuka Bog is really good. Glinthawk is great, although we have nothing to pick up with it. Nothing exciting, that is. And a Jolted Awake, which might end up getting cycled. Oh my... Okay. Surprise. They're blue-red. Maybe that's part of why they didn't do much last time. If they had a bunch of red spells, you get Cryogen Relic. And that's why they had Mystic. They played a Terror. But they are like, is it Terror as opposed to is it Control? Because they have Thought Scours, right? Were they Snow-Covered Islands? Or were they just regular islands? If they're regular, they're not playing Scred. Now I'm just so confused. I kind of don't want a Bojuka Bog yet, but it's going to throw off our mana a little bit. Next turn I can Cryogen, plus we can't Duress until we use it. I'm going to get a little greedy, I think, and just play it slow, hold the Bojuka Bog. Lots of Orzhov Blade decks suddenly putting results. Guess Blade main is good now. I mean, Terror is so much of the meta. Like, someone on stream I think was saying it was like 16% according to MTG Top 8 or something, which is just an outrageous percentage. I could just Relic here, but then they just counter it. All right, well, I held it for one turn. I'm gonna Bog now. Next turn I really want to be able to either Duress and then Relic, or I could Relic, and if that gets countered, I could Jolt it Awake. Something like that. But, yeah, I mean, I'm sure Orzhov Blade is still a great deck, because I always really liked it. I like Esper so much better, I think, just because we have really good card draw. But, of course, the mana is a little shakier. Then I'm probably going to stick with this one. But I'm glad to see it doing well. Also, talking about Black Sack, Edo, they've been going crazy in challenges recently. Tons of top 8s. I think there were 4 between top 8. There was a top 8 yesterday, and then there were like 3 in the top 12, like 3 others. There were 4 decks total in like the top 16. They were all playing Black Sack, which is just crazy, and I love to see it. All right, so do I want to Duress and then Relic, and then next turn Glint Hawk, and then I don't know, or I could just play a Bridge and keep passing, and then the following turn I could Duress. Yeah, I don't think I need to do anything while they're not doing anything. Only one non-Beckoner list though. Yes, that with 4 Glean main. Yeah, that is very true. That was, I believe, Intro Pete, who is one of the main people in the Black Sack Discord, and just in general who plays the deck all the time. Personally, I'm still a fan of the non-Beckoners list, but clearly a lot of people like the Beckoners, and, you know, they're consistently still putting up results enough to the point where maybe I think I'm still very much of two minds of it. Maybe Beckoners are what the deck needed to really be pushed, but I think it was already good enough to be played and make top 8s, as I did make some top 8s even before Beckoner. But of course, I think Beckoner is just the shiny new thing that most people are playing with that list. So I think the deck in general is good enough to make top 8 and do well and win challenges. And just people happen to be playing with Beckoner. But in any case, if people like it, that's great. Do we want to pull the trigger here? They're still not doing anything, but we don't have a for sure land drop next turn, which means we will start falling behind. So I don't think it's unreasonable to like Duress. If they counter that, I can Cryogen. Then if they counter that, I can Jolt it Awake. I think that's fine. Also, once we get a clear picture potentially of what's going on, we can maybe like Refurb, Glinthawk Refurb to like take more cards out of their hand, unless if they just have a million counter spells. But I think this is a good turn to start with the Duress. Brainstorm in response. Well, they're going to put away their good cards probably, but I would be surprised if they could put away every spell they had. Unless they have just a really heavy spells hand. Now they counterspell. Okay. Well, I'm going to Cryogen. They could still have a Spell Piercer and a Null. Hopefully not. These are not snow covered, by the way, which means they're probably not... Ooh, Pyroblast. They're probably not playing Screds, so I will Jolt this Awake. Okay, I really like Jolted Awake so far against blue decks, because then I can just get another Cryogen Relic for 1 mana afterwards. I'm liking that a lot. The fact that Jolted Awake can hit artifacts is incredible. Now, they could play like a Monarch or something, but I'm not even sure if they're playing that. It's not traditional Is It Control. They were playing Murmuring Mystic main deck, but they're clearly Is It Terror because they were playing Thought Scours and things like that. So, I don't know. Which is interesting. To be honest, I was thinking the other day that, like, is it, just a Lorien? Okay, I'm fine with that. Just the other day that, like, you have Mono Blue Terror, you have Dimir Terror, and I was thinking what an Is It Terror deck would look like. Obviously, similar to Is It Control, a lot of the same spells, but like Thought Scours and things. But I could take away, I guess I don't have enough of the correct mana to take away 3 of their cards, but also with 6 cards in hand, I think I just want to Glint Hawk and pick up our own Relic a bunch. Mirror Enforcers are really nice too, so we're going to play this again, 6 artifacts, play Refurb. Yeah, I think we just want to swarm the board here. This is 7 artifacts, so now I can play my 2 Enforcers, right? Oh, 1, 2, 3. Oh, the Bajuka Bog was throwing me off. Dang. Okay. Well, that was a minor mistake. I would have just played Blood Fountain then, because I wanted to also get this Glint Hawk down. Well, fair enough. We will just play a Blood Fountain and 2 Enforcers. But they could have like a Breath Weapon or something. Wipes these 2 away, but these guys are going to be fine unless they have like 2 Breath Weapons. Brainstorm. Mental Note. Put away a Pyroblast and a Fjord. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I can get down some Terrors. They do. Another Relic. Let's play a Relic. Skyfisher. Alright, I'll play a Glint Hawk. Now if they want to counter this, I have a Skyfisher. If not, I think we're still just going for value. Pick up the Relic again. Thoughtcast. We're going to swing for 4 in the air. And I guess I'm just going to Skyfisher. Now if they want to counter it, I guess I'm making that pretty free. But yeah, they didn't seem like they necessarily had one. Pick up Relic. We are pinched on blue because I didn't get that bridge down last turn. Although actually I haven't played a land this turn, right? So I can play the bridge. Correct. Okay. Still a little pinched on blue, but yeah, I still think we just pick up the Relic. Makes the most sense to me. Razor Tide. Sure, I guess more blue could be good. Or rather, more white over black. Alright, if they attack here... Ooh, okay, Mystic is scary. And then Thought Scour. Yep, well, I guess we want to find a cast down. I was going to say if they attack, I'll probably do like a triple block on one of these rather than like a 2 and 2. Because then that would open us up to getting bolted and them getting a 2-for-1. Is our internet going out again? Because I'm just getting a notification OBS is having issues. Ugh, yep. Alright, there was a, there has been a storm around here, so it looks like there is some sort of outage a little bit, which is very unfortunate, very frustrating. In any case, hopefully we will be back, and I'm gonna try not to die to this Murmuring Mystic. They do only have 2 cards in hand, which is not the worst. They did also mill 2 terrors. That's actually really good to know. They have no terrors left in their deck. And we drew a Tithing Blade, it looks like. So, Tithing Blade doesn't do much with this bird. I think we just thought cast, try to draw as much as we can. We also have a garbage truck outside right now, so even if we are connected, the audio, I'm sure, is not ideal. I guess we should probably just attack before we go too far so that there are fewer birds. So we'll attack with these 3. I'm not going to throw away a refurb here. They do have a Thought Scour to make another bird. So they could go for a double block on a Glint Hawk. That would be fine. This makes my Tithing Blade better, assuming they still have 1 mana up. So I think I just Tithing here. I could wait and do something else first, but like the chances that I don't know. I think just the earlier it makes most sense. So hopefully they won't have a spell to cast. But it looks like they have another one, a null even. I mean, if they had a spell, then I honestly would prefer that gets countered. It does not do as much. I guess we'll just Relic. No, I could take their last card now. I think that makes sense, because their last card could be really good. It could be a Lorien or something. Or it could just be whatever, a counterspell or a land, but it was a Lorien, in fact. So very glad we took that. Sorry about the internet issues, folks. Alright, once again, I think we just attack first, see if they have any way to make more birds. If not, they're going to take 6 or chomp and take 4. Looks like it. I'll play a Cryogen, draw a card here. Rebuke. Could be good if they top deck another Lorien or something, which they clearly didn't do this time, but let's play another Cryogen and just play a bridge and pass. Brainstorm's pretty good draw. Mental Note. Get rid of a Thought Scour and an island. And a Murmuring Mystic. Well, we're going to counter that. 5,000%. We don't need another one of those kicking around. Blood Token away. A bridge. We have 1 Glint Hawk in our grave. Okay, well I can attack with the refurbs now, and if they want to trade with it, then I get it back and get them to discard a card. So let's just swing with our flyers. Another Thought Scour, okay. Mills the Sleep of the Dead. That is very good for them. Trade with the Glint Hawk and the refurb. Go down to 4. Blood Fountain, so I'd probably take a refurb just to take their last card and a Glint Hawk. I think that makes the most sense. Make them discard. It was a deep analysis. I mean, at this stage in the game, I would prefer that to be in the grave, so they don't draw 4 off of it, and make 2 birds. Plus they have to pay life for it, which is pretty tough for them to do. I guess I'll play a land here just in case you get something that wants blue. Yeah, alright. Well, we're gonna pass. They could definitely... I mean, Sleep of the Dead with Murmuring Mystic is kind of crazy. They could sleep 2 of these, ponder first, and if they do, they also make birds, so we could be in some trouble here, potentially. Their turn to draw 10,000 lands, ideally. I mean, I think our game's going pretty well, but definitely if we drew a couple fewer lands, I think we'd be in a better spot. But yeah, they are just going to double Sleep of the Dead here. So, a couple birds. Metallic Rebuke, not really what we want. I don't think we've seen a cast down either, have we? Yeah, I guess we've done very well, but we haven't gone through that many spells. 4, 9, 13 lands. I mean, I'm going to crack a Relic. It's all we have to do. And it could set off like a chain reaction of spells and things. Refurb takes a card. That's not bad. I don't think it was a Mental Note. I don't think it makes a lot of sense to just attack with our guys, throw them into birds, and then they Sleep of the Dead, make more birds. I think we'd rather just wait, I guess. even though it's only going to get worse, probably. We didn't bring in Suffocating Fumes, which is always a problem against Murmuring Mystic. It's like you don't really want Fumes in general, but as soon as they get the Mystic, you want one. I could Rebuke the second Sleep here. They aren't going to... I mean, they're going to run out of cards eventually, but they have 6 more uses of it, so it's going to be a while. I could counter this one, but they're going to have 5 birds, so what does it matter anyway? I think I just let it go. Save this for Lorien or something. I mean, luckily they can't really attack. Like, if they attack with terrors, I can still just, like, trade off Mere Enforcers for them. Come on, give me something good. I would not call Duress good. I really don't want to sack this Relic, because we have 4 more Skyfishers and Glinthawks that would make it really good. And I don't really think I care to Duress their 1 card at the moment. So we'll just pass, and maybe I'll Duress next turn, or before we, if they're holding a counter spell, I'll Duress before we play something relevant. This is the classic, like, we were winning this game by a mile, but they resolved and never lost a Murmuring Mystic thus far. We still might be okay if we top deck a Cast Down ever, of which we have 3 in the deck. Or we also brought in the Thraben Charms, didn't we? So we have 5 ways to kill this that we haven't seen yet in half our deck. If we ever get one of those, we can Duress first, make sure the way's clear, then shoot it, and maybe we regain the game. They're finally going to Deep Analysis. Okay, that's pretty funny. I could Rebuke it so they don't draw 2 cards, or I could just Duress them after. That's probably better. I don't know. I mean, them having the cards, if they're like cantrips and stuff, making more birds is kind of unfortunate. So maybe I should have just countered it. We know there's no more terrors. We haven't seen Cryptic Serpents. Are there only threats like 4 terrors and a couple Murmuring Mystics? Yeah, they did mill a Mystic. Or no, rather they cast one and we countered it. We've only seen those 6 creatures so far. They're finally attacking with a terror. Well, I'm going to double block here. I really don't want to lose any of our flyers. If they have a bolt or something, I can Rebuke. If they then had to Dispel, maybe I just don't get anything off. We draw more lands. Well, I think I just pass, right? I guess if they have something scary, like a Lorien, maybe I should Duress. I think I should Duress. They have 4 cards in hand. I want to save it for like counterspells on what we draw, but clearly we're not drawing anything relevant ever. They counterspell. I think it's worth it to counter this and then take whatever else they have. Yep. Lorien was the thing I was worried about. Deep Analysis only draws 2 because they can't flash it back, so I'm going to take a Lorien. They have 2 of them. Maybe now is the time, because I'm actually getting desperate with these birds, to crack the Relic. What the hell? Yeah, I agree. They're drawing much better than we are, and we're drawing very poorly. Yeah, they're just going to sleep this, attack with all the birds, probably. I guess they just double sleep and then attack. You have to trade off familiars for them. No, yeah, they're going to hold up, or they're going to play they're not going to attack with any of them. I guess they're at 1. They have to hold up back blockers, but still. Mere Enforcers are relevant on the ground, and Glinthawk blocks these without dying, so I think I just trade 2 of these. Or I could just let it go, and I could crack the Relic, keep this tapped. I don't really want to crack the Relic. I think we block like this. I guess losing an extra guy probably is just not smart. But if they just kill the Glinthawk, because the Mere Enforcers are relevant on the ground, then it's worse for us. Yeah, they're going to Deep Analysis. Well, they're tapped out. If we can find a Cast Down, maybe we can bring this back somehow. That's a refurb. I mean, generally not a card I hate, but not really a card that's good enough. I think I have to crack this Relic now. I think we are just falling too far behind, especially if they play a Lorien next turn. Well, we find another Relic, which is not the worst thing ever. Maybe I should just play the refurb first in case they have a null here. Mere Enforcer is not great, as already stated. We still have a lot of mana. I think I'm going to crack another Relic. Jolted Awake can bring back a Relic. Could bring back a Blood Fountain, which can get Glinthawk and Refurb. Okay, I guess. I mean, Relic draws us 2 cards, but Blood Fountain gets us flyers, which is kind of what I need. I just need a Cast Down. We still have 5 ways to kill this Murmuring Mystic. They could have a Dispel or something. I think we're going for Blood Fountain. I'd dig for Relic. I think they untap with counters. Yeah, maybe. I mean, they have, I guess with Lorien, they only have 2 cards and one of them's a Lorien revealed, but they could definitely get counters. You might be right. I feel like I've been digging and nothing has happened, but obviously I know eventually you will we'll get there. But this way we also do make them discard another card, so it's either, okay, well, they have a mental note, then they discard a Lorien or the other card, probably the other card, because Lorien's really good. I mean, them milling out is not unreasonable at this point, I guess. They discarded Dispel. More than likely they just like sleep 2 of these guys. They can attack with everything. We die in about 2 turns. That's the other thing, is it feels like the Mystic, it doesn't really matter to kill the Mystic at this point. They do have Serpents, okay. It feels like the damage is done and I just need blockers for these guys now, but I don't know, maybe not. Well, they get to tap 2 of them, make 2 more birds. They tap this, then I have to trade off 3 refurbs for these, which means I'll have nothing to pick up with the Glint Hawk. So maybe I keep one of them around to get their Lorien revealed. They're not actually going to mill out. There's no way. Oh, they kept the Skyfisher tapped. So are they not attacking, or are they willing to throw one of these away? They are still at 1, so they can't attack with so much that like we could get through. But I kind of think they should just attack with like 6 or 7 of these at least. Yeah, 9 of them. So they have 4 flyers back. Only 4? We have 4 flyers. So if I finally can rip a removal spell, I could just win. So I guess I only block here, right? They should have left back 1 more. And I have Blood Token. Yeah, so I have 2 draws. Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely our best way to win. And we still have, like I said, 5 removal spells, I think. Thoughtcast could draw us to them, theoretically. Cast down. Okay. I mean, I'm pretty sure this just wins us the game. Cast down a bird. Attack with all the flyers. And if they somehow have something for no mana to like trigger the Mystic, then I'd still have these guys to pick up stuff. All right. I know they were getting desperate, I guess, but they were kind of in control if they had just... I mean, we did finally draw some cards. So if they had left back a couple more birds, I'd probably draw... See if I can actually draw with this button. Nope, never works. We get rid of this Ancient Den, maybe draw something. I can refurb, Skyfisher refurb to take their Lorien. To be honest, I might Skyfisher pick up Skyfisher, like do that chain a couple times to make our guys untapped, so they have to spend more Sleep of the Deads. I feel like they took too long to actually start attacking, and then when they did, they went overboard. They did literally just 1 or 2 birds more than they should have. But we got there in the end, 3-1. And moving on to match 5. Ideally, we won't have any more issues with the internet, but I can't promise because they're the worst. All right. Last match here in the league. Our mana has been, I think, noticeably worse without compasses. So that's without compasses and also just with more blue spells. So we're very even between all 3 colors now, as opposed to having like one of them a little bit lesser. This hand is okay. I think we keep this. We need white for the Glint Hawk, but as soon as we get white, I think generally, as a rule of thumb in any form of Magic, but I think Pauper it works too. As long as you're only looking for one thing, it's okay. So all we're looking for here is a white land. But if we were looking for like 2 white lands or whatever, it wouldn't be great. But yeah, so I don't know. I think it's okay. So opponent mulligans to 6. We get down to Vault of Whispers. Like the hand that we kept with the Mirror Enforcers against walls, and then we died with Seed of the Synod. We were looking for multiple things. Now that was on a mulligan, so it's a little different. But we were looking for white and black. Okay, Grimbobble's pretty nice here. I actually don't know if I want to just run this out, though, because I could just refurb, and the next turn I can bobble, and if I don't attack with refurb, I can also hold up Metallic Rebuke. So I think we're going to do this. Obviously, refurb is cheaper later, so they discard a snap. Actually, I guess I could have just Grimbobbled, make sure they don't ninja. The next turn I could refurb and rebuke. Also, Grimbobble gets spell stuttered. Maybe that was worse. They attack. They didn't play a land, so they can't big ninja, but they could little ninja. They could also just Brine Barrow if I block. I think I'm going to let this go. If they have a ninja, I'll just Grimbobble it. And if they have Brine Barrow, I don't really want to walk into it. We just take 1, and they pass. Yeah, I think this might have been worse, because now we can't bobble this through Spell Stutter and still have Rebuke up. Whereas now I could play a refurb. I don't know. It made sense in my mind, and now it does not. So I definitely played wrong there. Now what do we want to do? I'm pretty sure they have Brine Barrow since they didn't have a ninja. I mean, maybe they're just fine with that trade, which is fair. If I attack, I don't have Rebuke up. I do have Cast Down. I don't want to just bobble. We missed a land drop. I guess we're just going to attack and pass. How's it going, Ben? They are going to combat. Swing with the Miscreant, Island, and they got a Harrier Strix. Okay. Tap a land. I'll float a mana. So I could cast down now. They could Spell Stutter, but then I get to Grim Bobble. If we get a white source, it also opens up Glint Hawk. I think we'll cast down. I'll go for the Strix because the loot's pretty good. All right, that worked. Cool ideas. Yeah, I thought not all my ideas necessarily, but just some various cards that I've been wanting to try out. I'm going to refurb here. They didn't spell stutter the cast down, so maybe they just don't have one. Maybe they're worried about what's here, but this can't get spell stuttered. And they discard a ninja, the Deep Hours, which they didn't use last turn, I guess because I had cast down up. I could attack, or I could hold up Metallic Rebuke. I think I'll just attack. I'm trying to think what I would hold up Metallic Rebuke for. I could like block. If they go for a Brine Bear, I could rebuke it. But then these still just trade. And I kind of don't want to trade my guys now while I have this Enforcer that's getting close to being castable. Okay, they do have a ninja, but I can bauble that and still hold up Rebuke. They have a Miscreant in hand. I feel like a Brian Barrow, but no actual proof about that. There's a Miscreant. Another Rebuke. I'll play the bauble, and so I could just attack. I mean, I'm winning the race, but if they do have another ninja, that's pretty bad. I have to leave at least one of these back for a Metallic Rebuke, so maybe I just go 1 and 1. I could leave them both back. If they if they attack, I could double block so Brian Bear doesn't get us. But I already have the Rebuke for it. I think we'll just swing with 1, and now we'll probably go for the block and Rebuke and see how that turns out. Another Miscreant. Okay. I could make them pay 3 for this, but that doesn't seem super effective. They do get to draw a card, which is pretty nice. Now I definitely want to block because if they have a ninja, they get another card off of picking this up. And I'll try to counter the Brian Barrow so these at least trade. Plus we just have 2 Rebukes that are kind of not doing much, so if they have a counter spell or a spell stutter even gets this, it's not that big of a deal for me. Alright, they trade. Cryogen does get spell stuttered. They haven't shown spell stutter. There's been some pretty reasonable times they could have used it. I think we're just going to cast it. Hope there's no counterspell. Maybe they've been sandbagging, but yeah, it looks like they don't. Thoughtcast is good. I'll pass. I think we're finally, I mean, we still need white mana and just more lands, but we're pulling ahead a little bit here. I think the way we fall behind is a ninja, and I don't want that to happen. Of One Mind is not terrible for them, although 3 mana is not what they want to pay for it. Another Miscreant. I've never seen Miscreants be so good. And they could have another Brian Barrow. They could also have another ninja. I guess we'll block. Pretty annoying if they have the Brian Barrow, but they didn't. Another Cryogen. We're definitely just going for the Thoughtcast, though, hoping they don't have Spell Pierce. And that works, and we find nothing at all that we can cast. Okay, we can't even hold up a Rebuke this time, so that was not good. They do have the ninja. Miscreant in hand, and they pass. Refurb is decent. I'm going to start with a Thoughtcast, trying to find some lands. I mean, that's better than nothing. It is the last land that we wanted. We would have preferred blue over black, and we would have preferred white over either. But now we can Refurb and Mirror Enforcer, so we're not in a bad spot by any means. Just a little annoying how our mana is working out. But we have some good blockers, and we do have a lot more cards than them. Flash and a CryoBlade. Swing with both of these. I think I'm just going to block the CryoBlade. Feels like they might just want to cash it in for a card. They ninja the Miscreant, and we've already seen 2 Miscreants, so unless they get the 3rd, the Miscreant shouldn't have any more relevant ETBs. Unless they get the 4th, which they could, but they do just trade those off. Fair enough. Buying the monster on the Enforcer. Okay. And the Miscreant. 1 card left. Ancient Den. That's great, because now I can... I mean, I would have loved it earlier, but still very perfectly timed, because we can Skyfisher. We have the counterspell if they have anything, and I can bounce... As much as I want to draw a million cards, I can just bounce the Enforcer and recast it for 1. I don't want to play 1 for it. I guess I'll play a Relic. I could hold up Rebuke, but Rebuke is looking not very effective here. And if they didn't counter this, I feel like they're not going to be able to counter this, or not want to, or whatever. We can get this down anyway. All right, now we're in a good spot, I think. They have another CryoBlade. They don't cycle it right away. Fairy Seer sets up their draws, both to the top. Moonsirca Hacker. Well, I think... I could hold up Rebuke. I don't think that makes sense with the mana they have. I mean, they could top down like Of One Mind and a bunch of other stuff, but I think I'm just going to Thoughtcast. And then we're probably going to Glint Hawk, pick up the Grim Bauble, start picking off creatures. I don't need more value, I just need their creatures to go away. And I'll also play a Refurb here. They obviously have nothing to discard, so I'll just draw a card. Would love it to be a land. Crack their CryoBlade. Okay. So I assume they know they have a counterspell here. Fair enough. Still not the worst. In fact, we got rid of one of their guys, so Bauble is even better here. We'll just get rid of the Seer, get rid of the Flyers. I don't really care about the others, and we'll just pass. No reason to attack in case their top deck is like card draw into Snap into a Ninja or whatever. But I think things are looking pretty good now. Play a seat. All right, we're going to attack. They're at 10. I guess I could attack with everything. That seems a little... ambitious. We'll leave the Enforcer back. We'll attack with these though. Hacker 1 back, replay it. Might as well be the Glint Hawk, so it's cheaper. Yeah, we can have ninjas too. Draw a card here, Juke a Bog. Then I'll play the Glint Hawk again. If they have a counter spell, well, Rebuke isn't going to counter their thing, but yeah, we get them there. Nice. Suffocating Fumes is a good addition here. Duress is not bad. Raven Charm is not bad. Tithing Blade is not the most effective necessarily, but any of their creatures are pretty relevant, so I think keeping those around is fine. Jolted Awake to get through counterspells is good. Rebuke feels rough because it is good to be able to counter stuff. They don't always get that many lands, and by the time that they had 6 here, like we had already taken over the game, but it falls off eventually, and ninjas makes it weird, but I guess it's probably still good enough. Honestly, I think our hackers are probably just not as necessary. We're certainly not getting rid of any flyers. I mean, that's always the case, but especially against them. Blood Fountain still seems good against counter spells too. Maybe just a couple hackers. Well, let's do all the hackers and bring in another removal spell or a duress. Kind of like a duress. I know duress doesn't hit fairies. I know I've heard some people say they don't love duress against fairies necessarily, but to me, they still have counter spells, have one mind, snaps, often spell pierces. Now they're going to have annuls. Like, it still feels pretty good to me. Well, a lot of good cards, but one land. Man, our mana has not been working because this looks amazing, except that we don't have blue, which could really screw us over. I think we're going to go down, try to be disciplined this time. And now we have no black, but I think I got to keep this one now. Yeah, oof, indeed. I guess I just keep the flyers, the value. Generally, when I mulligan low, I want to keep all the cards that can give as much value as possible to make up for the cards I'm missing. Plus cast down, these basically take the place of cast down, kind of. They can block, kill creatures. Not 100% the same because they have snaps and things, but I don't know. They scry two to the top, so lucky them. Yeah, we took out 2 compasses from our main deck that I like to play and swapped a Vault for a Seat of the Synod because we have a lot more blue spells. I think that's the main thing that's ruining us, is so many more blue spells, I think. But I don't know, the mana just feels really rough in comparison to usual. I didn't have to take out the compasses. I could definitely put them back in for even with these other cards. But yeah, we did end up doing that. I probably just got to play a Skyfisher here, right? To block. They scried 2 to the top again, so they probably are going to have a snap. But I don't think I could just let these all go wild. So even though we have to pick up a land, they might have a Bind the Monster or whatever, but it's kind of why I like Gates. Being able to choose colors is pretty sweet. Granted, I'm not playing an affinity list like you are. Yeah, I did try the Gates list, and admittedly, I don't think I played it the best. I think there's a bit more of a learning curve that, like, I probably need to acclimate to the deck a little bit better. But when they steal sabotage our land, okay, that's pretty much game over. I don't know. I felt like the Gates felt rough too in the list that I played. Yes, you get to choose. I could just Glint Hawk, pick up our land again. Probably makes sense. Has its own challenges for sure. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely true. I don't know. I think that one of the main issues I had was that Basilisk Gate is, of course, the gate that you want to play. And the reason to play Gates, but it being colorless in a deck that wants 3 colors is pretty tough. And I know, at least in the list that I played, which was A Hunter's list, the list going around a little bit, there's only Cryogen Relics for blue, so not as many blue spells. But Cryogen Relics, since you want to bounce it, you still need 2 or 3 or 4 blue mana, ideally, in every situation to be able to, like, cast it over and over or crack it or whatever. But needing that plus a bunch of black for Raven's Crime and other things, and then plus white, like, I don't know. Even with the Gates being able to choose colors, it seemed really difficult. But certainly here, if these bridges were just Gates, it would be a lot better. But what are you gonna do? I only run blue for Relic. Yeah, no, I gotcha. It's just Relic, casting it, recasting it, and potentially wanting to crack it in the same turn can run up a lot of blue. And we get a refurb. All right, I'm gonna concede there. Technically, we have 1 more turn, and of course the draw button doesn't work. Bind the Monster is another reason for Duress or Thraben Charm. Still some room for this deck to find its legs. A lot of potential, though. Yeah. No, I definitely think all of the versions that I've seen have potential. This version that I'm playing right now, I think Jolted Awake is kind of being an all-star from where we've seen it. I think that might worm its way into the main deck that I've been playing. Rebuke feels pretty good, too. But of course it loses value. Moon Circuit Hacker's the main one I'm not loving at the moment. All right, can I fit in these 3? Raven Charm for Bind the Monster, Suffocating Fumes. I mean, we just mulliganed poorly there, so there's not really any other issues. Maybe just like, I guess for Bind the Monster, maybe we'll just do like this. Yeah, Jolted Wake, pretty sweet. Creatures and artifacts, exactly. If it was just creatures, we have another 1-lander. Still playing 20 lands. If it was just artifacts or just creatures, it would be, like, mediocre. The fact that it's only 2 mana value as opposed to, like, Unearth is sometimes a pain, although in this list everything's pretty much 2, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, like, artifacts and creatures is just so good. All right, we have no creatures here, but we do have good mana. We have a lot of removal. As much as I like Jolted Awake, I don't think we need 2 of them here, so we'll get rid of 1 of them. Could make a case for Unearth. Yeah. I mean, I like the differences. Like, Jolted Wake doesn't get quite as big of creatures as Unearth, but it gets artifacts, which is just incredible in this. Like, we played against Terror, and being able to just cast a Cryogen Relic, and then they counter it, but I have 3 mana, so then I play a Jolted Awake to bring it back, was, like, super good. All right, Well, we have the removal on the play here. Hopefully we'll be able to do some good stuff here. Tithing Blade, nice there. Ooh, that's a good draw. That they could counter spell, but they can't spell stutter. We'll see if they want to. Yeah, kind of annoying that they do because I don't have anything else to play. I feel like that then if I followed up with like a Skyfisher, I think we'd be very happy with that, but oh well. Ancient Den. Oh, I can pay 2 mana for a Mirror Enforcer, which can block ninjas, or I'm assuming there's going to be a flash threat. Ooh, no flash threat is good for us. Bind the monster. Okay. So Skyfisher can pick this up. I kind of want to keep Jolted Awake for if we get like a Skyfisher and they counter it. Another Mirror Enforcer, that's not bad either. Well, currently they don't have any creatures and they're just playing control. Well, there's the spell stuff. That is annoying because if they get a ninja down, Grim Bauble isn't going to be able to be cast because they can just spell stutter it. There's a Ninja of the Deep Hours. Part of me wants to cycle this to find something, but if I get like a Glint Hawk here, I want to cast it, it gets spell stuttered, and then I jolt it awake. Bring it back. If we just get a bridge, it's not amazing. I mean, I could just Grim Bauble, they spell stutter it, and then I bring it back, and I kill the spell stutter, or I kill the Ninja. Ninja's obviously scarier, but I can currently block it. But if they get it by the monster or something, we're in big trouble. I think we don't need to do that right now. It doesn't achieve much, so I think I'd rather just wait. If they don't find like a snap or another bind, then currently we're holding them back anyway. If they do, I might regret not killing the ninja while we could. Steel Sabotage, I guess that works too. Okay, I mean they get to cycle the Steel Sabotage basically, plus give them an opportunity to counter the Mirror Enforcer. Now we get a refurb. Only 1 black mana though, of course. Well, we're gonna play an Enforcer, see if they want to do anything about that. Okay, then I'll play a refurb since they can't spell stutter it. Another ninja down. Flash in the spell stutter. So that means they probably have to have another ninja. I mean, we have the refurb to block. Oh, okay, I have 1 mind. That makes sense. Of course, they could have a Brine Barrow. Another of 1 mind. Well, now we're getting buried because we're not getting our card advantage. I mean, a little bit with like refurb, but yeah, still don't know if I should cycle that. Fumes is decent. Well, we're gonna pass. 1 black mana is a pain because if I had 2, I might play the Grim Bauble. If they go for like a spell stutter, I can Fumes them away, but I cannot. Pass. Get another black mana. I could craft this Tithing Blade with this Enforcer, but it prevents us from, well, we tap out, which I don't like. And it also makes it so that if we draw a Core Skyfisher or something, it's worse. You just flash in a spell stutter. I could Fumes right now. If they have another spell stutter or counter spell, it doesn't do much. I mean, I'd want to do it in their upkeep because they're doing this probably because they're going to try to ninja with like a Brine Bearer or something. So I think we Fumes them in their upkeep. If we're going to do it, we might as well do it when they have 1 fewer card. They have a counter spell. Okay, we block and they Brine Barrow. Well, we're just going to see what they got. Moon Circuit Hacker and trade. Spell Stutter in hand. Jolted Awake still not doing anything. I mean, if we play Grim Bauble and then it gets countered, I could bring it back. I just don't know if I should bite the bullet on it. Okay, Glint Hawk is pretty decent, finally. So then let's Bauble. Now if that gets countered, I can just Glint Hawk. Okay, it doesn't get countered. I do still want to play a Glint Hawk because I would like to have a blocker for their flyer. So I'm going to play it. Obviously they're going to spell stutter it, but then I can jolt it awake, pay an energy. And now is the question, do I pick up a Grim Bauble and pick off the spell stutter? Probably. Or I could just pick up the Mirror Enforcer, replay it, and I could start getting in with Enforcers. I think that might be better. It's a little tough. Play this one first in case they have an annul, which looks like they might, so it didn't really matter what I picked up. Okay, well in that case I won't attack, and I'll just crack the Grim Bauble. Well, it is better I did it this way because I didn't waste my mana. And I can crack the Grim Bauble for a Surveil here. Fairy Seer, they do 1 top, 1 bottom. Crack the Bauble, Duress, and Skyfisher. I mean, probably have more counter spells, so Duress seems reasonable. Skyfisher's obviously good. Not the most insane here, but I think we just flip Tithing Blade, Duress them next turn with the Skyfisher. Come here. And yeah, they do have the spell stutter. That's why I didn't want to duress right there. Now they have a seer. A lot of fairies on the board right now. 1 to the top, swing. Well, generally I like to pick off the 1 if there's multiple, but I would like to get through the spell stutter sprites. So they could Brine Bear to keep it alive, but they can't actually make it so my guy dies. So they just Moon Circuit. They have 2 Moon Circuit Hackers. Well, that's crazy. So they have a Spell Stutter and a Fairy Seer in hand, and then 2 more cards, which means we can't Duress. I mean, Duress is irrelevant, and then also Skyfisher's not going to be able to be cast, really. Play the Fairy Seer. Wait, did they decline a draw? Draws a card, draws a card. Plays Island. Oh, that's why. I was like, card's gone. All right, so they have a Spell Stutter and an Unknown. Spell Stutter counters 3 drops. So if I Duress and they don't have a spell, they just don't care. Yeah, we're just gonna pass. Swing with everything. Well, we're gonna block one of these and block one of these. Brian Barrow keeps their Fairy Seer alive. They get in for 5 and they get to loot twice. Okay. Discard an island. Discard a Steel Sabotage. So they have a Spell Stutter and something else that's better than a Steel Sabotage. Maybe just an actual counterspell. There's a Refurb. They only have 2 fairies, so I'm going to play that. I could Duress first, which if they have like an actual counterspell, maybe it gets got... Okay, yeah. So maybe I should have Duressed first. That either gets counterspelled, then I can Refurb. Yeah, that would have been better, because now I can't do this, which means block, block. I'm taking 4. Yeah, I definitely was thinking, oh, I should Duress first, but then I was like, well, what if I whiff? And it's like, well, the Duress is kind of not doing any good anyway, and if I don't whiff, what a draw from them, then it's really good to Duress first. So that was a huge mistake, because if I Duress, they counterspell, or I take the counterspell, it doesn't matter. They could Spell Stutter it and then hold the counterspell, to be fair, but then if I Refurb, then I can at least get the Skyfisher through. Something was getting through is the point. Now they have a Strix to tap one of our guys down. That's pretty good. Yeah, that definitely might just lose us the game, fortunately. If I block here, I take 6. If they have another ninja, which is only, you know, they have to have 1 ninja, then I die. So yeah, I'd rather take out a fairy, but I don't want to block a ninja because I think that seems bad. So if we die, we die. But I definitely think that was a game-losing mistake, because here we would have at least a Skyfisher, if not also a Refurb on the board, and maybe a new card, something like that. We can maybe draw out of it if we get like a Thoughtcast into something. Another Fumes would be really good, but they also get to loot twice here. Get rid of Brine Barrow and a Ninja of the Deep Hours. There's a Fairy Miscreant. Come on, Suffocating Fumes. Cast down. Doesn't do it, because we can Skyfisher, but they have now 2 fairies, so they're gonna have 3, so cast out doesn't prevent that. I guess I could Duress them, and maybe they cast the Spell Stutter in response. Oh, they didn't. That's weird. Even if we do, we don't have enough blockers. Even if somehow we resolve these, we would die. All right. Yep, I should have Duressed. Oh, and that was the last game. Unfortunate. Well, what are you gonna do? I'm only human. All right, let's take a look at this list. All right, Jolted Awake seemed pretty sweet. Metallic Rebuke was pretty good and pretty effective. I'm not a big fan of the hackers, so let's cut hacker. I'm gonna play a couple more matches at least, so let's tune this up a little bit. Too much blue. Yeah, that was one of the concerns that I was having, was that we're very split between blue, white, and black here, as opposed to the other version, which is only 8 blue, and it's a little bit more, blue's a little more of a splash, although 8 cards is a big splash, but still. And then the compasses. So yeah, let's just move over to this version with all of our utility and stuff, and throw a couple Jolted Awakes in, maybe. I have been liking the Eviscerator's Insights, but we obviously have to cut something if we're going to try these out here. Although Insight does combo a little bit with the Jolted Awake, because we can sacrifice whatever we want to bring back, which is fair. I mean, I think the flex cards that I could cut are like these. I don't want to cut the compasses. We definitely lost a couple games because we just didn't have good mana. So I could just do 2 Jolted Awakes, cut one of each of these. I guess Compass really good in this deck, IMO. I totally agree. I know a lot of other people think it's low impact, but it's low impact in like 3 different really good ways, which is life gain against burn decks, and in that, you know, if you pick it up 2 or 3 times, it's high impact at that point. But life gain, fixing, and just another early artifact for our enforcers and stuff, I think it's really good. So I don't really want to cut them. I guess Thraben Charm, I was playing in the main. Thraben Charm is amazing, of course, but it was particularly important with Spy everywhere. Spy has died down a little bit, so maybe we can get away with taking one out. And am I just playing a 1-of Eviscerator's Insight? That seems kind of weird. I do like my 1-ofs, but feel like, yeah, I guess it's probably fine. I could just do 2 Jolted Awake, but I kind of like 3. If you're adding Insight back, you could cut Thoughtcast. We could cut Thoughtcast. The war on Thoughtcast. You know, I'm not gonna lie, after we were talking about cutting Thoughtcast in the Jeskai Moxite deck that we were playing, I tried putting in a couple Ghostly Flickers, and it was pretty good. But I think Thoughtcast is too good in this version. Personally, I think it's just too good. You can do your own War on Thoughtcast. That's fine. I mean, I could cut a Thoughtcast. I'm not opposed to that, but I'm not going to cut all 4. I think it's too good, and I just think it's better than Insight. So, I mean, if we're trying out new cards, I did mentioned before I tried a Ghostly Flicker in here and I didn't love it, but we only tried it like 1 league. We could try 1 Ghostly Flicker and cut. Yeah, it could be fun. We'll cut these. It's got some good utility, but we can just see how this runs. 3 Jolted Awakes. Ghostly Flickers, of course, really good with relics, refurbs, things like that. Also, this sideboard's a little different. This is the one I've been messing around with. I put some negates in because that's good against Dust to Dust. It's good against... honestly, it's good against Spy because you can counter the Dread Return. It's good against High Tide, which we have some trouble with. And I have a Last Rites in here, which was someone's suggestion that I said, oh, I think Raven's Crime is just better. But then, you don't necessarily want multiple Raven's Crimes. So having like an extra Last Rites in the sideboard for those spell combo decks, Tron and High Tide and Cycle Storm, stuff like that we have trouble with, I think it's kind of good. Yeah, I think it's a good idea. It was not my idea, but I do think it's good. So I don't know. I think the sideboard looks reasonable. Yeah, let's try this. So still trying the Jolted Awakes and a Ghostly Flicker, and let's see what we can do with that. I do like that the core of this deck has been very, very good, I think. 4 of Relics, Familiars, of course your Glint Hawks and your Skyfishers, and I really like the Enforcers. I think generally it's been very good, but I like messing around with the flex slots a little bit. Everything being 1 to 2 mana makes it really work. Yes, I agree. I think that's why the Compass is so important, is because everything's so cheap. Because it's like, oh, it looks like you're playing, some 4 drops and some 5 drops or whatever. But really, these are all 1 drops. These are, 0 drops. And so it's like, yeah, you need blue, black, and white on 1 drops. So tons of pips are necessary. That makes the compasses really good. So, yep, I'm a big fan. All right, match 1 here. We are missing some stuff. We definitely don't... we don't have blue, and once we get blue, we also want Cryogen Relic. But it's not bad. We also just need some more lands. But ideally, we're against an opponent where Grim Bobble's really good. Something like Rally, or maybe they put down a Terror or Fairy here. Well, that wasn't any of them. And this art almost just makes me think Kamigawa. Probably because of this. I don't know if it is Kamigawa art, but if that's in flavor, that makes me think High Tide, which might be a reason to just throw a Skyfisher down right now. I'm gonna wait and cycle a Jolted Awake, I think, but yeah, we'll see. Well, Consider could be High Tide, although Consider, I feel like Bin's another Consider, is often a terror card if it sees play at all. Just sold a Kamigawa. Is there a list around it? A Kamigawa, A Kamigawa like Island? Basics or something? I'm just saying because like Arcane is a Kamigawa thing, so I thought maybe there's a card a card just called Kamigawa, some kind of serpent. Maybe I got the name wrong. Blue. I am not sure, to be honest. I could just run out of Grim Bauble here. If they're High Tide, I should just get a Glint Hawk down. To be honest, if they're High Tide and I just throw a Glint Hawk out, that's not going to really matter because that's not going to attack fast enough. The way to attack High Tide is their hand, which means I want refurbs. And if they are like Terror, this could be helpful for a Delver later. I think we'll just pass here. Scratch that wrong name. Yeah, no worries. Jolted Awake's not looking great here necessarily. We might end up just cycling them, but that's fine. At least they can just turn into something new. They Brainstorm. Original Kamigawa basics go extremely well in Black Sack deck, just saying. Yeah, I believe that. Kamigawa has some really good art for basics. Pull out an Ice Tunnel. Okay. Not High Tide is good to know. Looks like Dimir Terror then maybe. Jolted Awake, if I draw like a relic right here, then I'm going to like to keep Jolted Awake because I can cast it, they counter it, and I bring it back. But if I don't, I really want to hit lands, so it kind of makes me want to cycle it. I think we're going to keep it. We do hit the land, so I could just probably do nothing. I could run out an Enforcer. I don't really want to give them counterspell stuff, though. Things to counterspell, that is. I was thinking Taniwa. Yeah, I gotcha. No worries. Yeah, we're just going to pass us another Enforcer. It's tough because I don't want to give him anything to counterspell, but I also... If the Enforcers don't come down until after they have Serpents down, then it's kind of rough, but I don't know. What are you going to do? I guess Grim Bauble I could probably just throw out because the chances they have... Why not Skyfish to the land and then Jolt it if they counter? Yeah, the reason that I wasn't doing that so far is because I feel like... Well, first of all, now they could double counter, but if you're saying like last turn or something, I'm just not getting any value off the Skyfisher. I don't really want to Skyfisher a land, and I don't really feel like the pressure of like a 2-3 right now is going to be super relevant. Obviously, it could be if if this stalemate goes on for several turns, but I kind of want to get value off of it, so I kind of want to wait around, I think, for a Cryogen to try to get through a counterspell with Jolted Awake, and then our Skyfisher and our Glint Hawk start making it so we draw a bunch of cards. That's how I'm feeling about it, but I don't know. I'm currently assuming they're Dimir Terror, or just Control. It could just be a Dimir Control deck. In any case, Grim Bauble doesn't feel very effective, so maybe I just run that out as an artifact. They could have Spell Stutter if they're like Dimir Fairies or Control with Fairies. Thanks, just asking about some lines as I intend to play this at some point. Yeah, no, feel free to ask any questions you want. A lot of times people have very good points that I haven't thought about. If this were I'm just going to run this out and see what happens. Probably nothing, but then I can at least set up our draws and not have to discard here. Our Enforcers are still 2 mana, so I don't really want to run them out right now. But yeah, people often mention lines that I don't want, or that I don't think of. If we were against High Tide, the 2 ways to beat High Tide are speed or hand disruption. So if this were High Tide like I thought it might be, if we had a refurb, then it would be great, because we just refurb and we Glint Hawk, we refurb it, we make them discard 4 cards, and we're going to win that game probably. If we don't have a refurb, which we don't, then we need to be speed as fast as possible. And so in that case, I would just be running out of Skyfisher like turn 2. As soon as I know they're High Tide, run that out immediately, then Glint Hawks and try to just beat them in speed, which is not a great plan, but it has worked for me at least once before. I can crack the Grim Bauble to set up our lands, or our draws. I probably do, but it does take away from our affinity count, which is something relevant to think about. And it's just more lands. I don't honestly hate lands, though, because it keeps us from discarding. It makes it so our Enforcers get cheaper. Once we draw something relevant to play, we can play them. I think we're just going to keep those. I guess if we are just going to keep them, maybe there's no reason to... Like, what was I going to bin at that point? In which case, why did I need to crack the Bauble? Because if I'm going to keep lands, I'm going to keep... I mean, I'm probably not going to keep a Glint Hawk or something at that point. It just doesn't do much. Certainly, I'm going to keep any artifacts. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have. A Dahada's Ploy. Draws and then discards. I guess I could have also binned one of the artifacts to jolt it awake. That's an option. I don't think it's a great one, but it technically ramps. They draw 2, then discard a card and gain a life for each card they've discarded, which was just 1. There's a Terror. Yeah, I mean, things get scary here. I don't necessarily think... I don't know. I don't know if I've played it poorly, but this happening now with Terrors coming down is pretty bad for us. I guess I just cast one of these down, they counterspell, then I at least get a bunch of guys on the field, probably. I don't want to waste my mana here. But of course, since we tap 4, if they have a Spell Pierce, it's not great. Oh, that just goes off. That's pretty good for us. We know we're drawing a seat, but now I can play some 1 mana or 0 mana Enforcers, and... I don't really want to run out any of our flyers because we're losing value on them, but I'm also not going to... I think we'll just pass. But I'm probably not going to double block this Terror because the chances they have a single removal spell are so high that maybe I wanted to play a 3rd creature so we could triple block and then probably get that trade. But then I just realized, well, not only do they potentially have 2 removal spells, but they also might not want to race because they're only dealing 5, we're dealing 8, and they agreed that that was not a race they wanted to do. We're gonna just keep this. That was unexpected. Yeah, I definitely, with so many cards in hand and nothing happening, I expected them to have a counterspell. We get another Jolted Awake. The Jolted Awakes are just gonna be so good if we get a relic, and we're not losing. Nothing bad is happening. I think we're just gonna keep waiting. Maybe I should be cycling these a little more aggressively, but it's just our hand unlocks once we get a relic or a refurb or anything, and if that just gets countered, it's pretty bad. They did cast down an Enforcer, so I can't block effectively and I can't race effectively. So I'm going to have to be forced to do something here. But I think we'll just see. That's a great draw. Well, I went to combat here because I wanted to attack first. I probably shouldn't attack first because I'm pretty sure I can get this Tithing Blade through because I can Tithing Blade and then Jolted Awake and then Jolted Awake. But theoretically, if they counter all 3 of these, I might want to leave back the Enforcer with one of our guys to block. So I probably should have waited until we make sure the Terror dies here. But this is a decent draw. There's a counterspell. We're going to Jolt it Awake. There's a counterspell. We're going to Jolt it Awake and hope there's not a 3rd counterspell. There is... See? They had 3 counterspells, despite the fact that they did not have a counterspell for a cast down 2 turns ago. Or rather, they clearly just didn't want to use a counterspell. Well, yeah, I really wanted that. Dang. I mean, this counterspells, I don't think I've seen that art before. Alright, so I could throw out a Skyfisher. It gets around a counterspell now, because they have no blue mana left. Doesn't really do anything else. It doesn't block. Oh, if we had 7 affinity, I could also... Oh, you know what? Actually, you know what I can do? It's not necessarily the best thing, but because we don't have a lot else, we can play a Glint Hawk, pick up the Enforcer and play it for 1. So now we can double block. Still might not be the best thing to do, in which case I might not do it, just because they could have, like I said, a removal spell for a 2-for-1. But I think at least getting one of these down right then wasn't the worst thing ever. Flashback the Dahada's Ploy, or jumpstart it rather, with the Sneaky Snacker, so that comes back. Yeah, really annoyed. I mean, I'm glad I kept those Jolted Awakes because at least they ate counter spells, but really wanted that Tithing Blade. They are going to attack, which means they have to have a removal spell, I think. So I think we just need to take this. Because if we double block, they remove a spell, then we have these 2. We're never being able to kill a Terror again, and that's really bad for us. And they have a Lorien. Yikes. I mean, another Tithing Blade off the top would be really good here. Obviously, it eats a Snacker first, but then we get to Glint Hawk or Skyfisher it and eat the other one. And now we just get a land. Well, that's unfortunate. Okay, well, we have to abandon the value plan, I guess, but I'm going to attack. They snuff out the Mere Enforcer. Well, that's annoying. I was going to Glinthawk the Enforcer, or rather I was going to Skyfisher. I'm still going to do this because I want blockers. Skyfisher the Glinthawk, and then I was going to play the Glinthawk and pick up the Enforcer, so basically giving my attackers pseudo-vigilance. Unfortunately, the snuff out threw that off. Pick up a land. I mean, I'm going to play this, I guess. This allows us to block the Terror, but it's a 2-for-1, but if they have the cast down another removal spell, it's a 3-for-1, and then we're going to lose. But we're kind of in a desperate spot at this point that we might have to, even though we don't want to. Because I could just take it, but then we're at 5. I could chump. That doesn't seem good. They have 5 cards in hand. We just have to hope that this works. If it does not, oh well. There's the cast down. Yeah, we had a really awkward draw, and then they had enough time to stockpile 3 counterspells. I really think if we had just gotten one of those Jolted Awakes off, we could have killed this Terror and we would be in a much better spot. Play another Snacker, and I draw Bajuka Bog, which would have been good a while ago, but we're going to take 9. There's no way we can come back after that. Unfortunately, we get Thraben Charm, Duress. Last Rites is not bad. If it gets through a counterspell, we can take their whole hand. Negate's okay against Lorians, but otherwise it just kind of goes 1-for-1 on counterspells. Don't think we need Bauble. I will say, as much as I like Compass and I say that it's great, and it is great, I do still usually side it out in a match where the life gain isn't relevant. Now that means our fixing is worse, but I generally don't have too many issues with that. I just need to make sure to keep a better hand, a hand that has better mana. And yeah, I mean, this version versus the other version we were playing, certainly just fewer blue spells makes it not too big of a deal. So we're going to cut these. It's been pretty good for me so far, and we're going to regret it if it does not work. Ghostly Flicker is probably good because it can flicker Tithing Blade, which could be really strong. Why Fumes? Why Cutting Fumes? Because the only thing it kills is Snackers that we saw, and Snacker is not... Snacker's only a 4 of. Lagging just saw me take it out. Oh, no worries. Yeah, taking it out because it doesn't do much. It kills Snackers, but we're trying to kill Terrors, so yeah, just hadn't gotten around to taking it out. Everything else is pretty good. This is the match, or a match, good for Raven's Crime. Ghostly Flicker seems decent. I like these sideboard cards. We don't want to take this out. Maybe just a Jolted Awake then. It is good against counterspells, so maybe we leave it, but I guess I could cut a Thoughtcast. I don't think that's terrible. Yeah, I think that might be fine. All right, this hand is reasonable. We don't have blue, and we did just take out our compasses, but we have 4 playable cards that can amass us some decent value and prevent us from getting steamrolled too quickly, so I think it's okay. But we're obviously hoping for blue off the top. We got Glinthawk. Well, hopefully no one null, but we're gonna run out of familiar here. Man, Last Rites is another fan favorite besides Raven's Crime. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Last Rites. It's very good. They do have Sneaky Snackers to discard to the refurb, so they're not great, but I don't think it's so bad that we cut the refurb. Definitely need a sub-only Raven's Crime emote. I have plans. I need to actually make those plans happen. But I do plan to figure out some emotes, and one of them I want to do is Raven's Crime. Alright, pretty awkward. Our mana, both the number and the colors. I guess we just hold up Thraben Charm for if they try to get back the Snacker. Otherwise I can Glinthawk back this refurb, but I can't play it again because it costs 2 mana. I could refurb or Glinthawk a Vault of Whispers, but then I don't have mana I don't have anything to cast with it. I mean, what are they gonna... They could Brainstorm, but are they going to do that on their own turn to get the Snacker back? Probably not. So I guess I'd rather just Glinthawk, swap these out, so that if nothing else, next turn I can play another refurb. I have also had some thoughts of trying to go up to 21 lands, just because I feel like I mulligan or get stuck on 2 lands a lot with this deck, but sometimes we get super flooded too, and neither one feels great. Last Rites. So I could just refurb here. I could Glinthawk, float a black with a vault, replay it, then refurb, just to get more guys out quicker. My concern if I refurb here is I make them discard another Snacker, and then they like Brainstorm, get them both back. That's really bad. I think we're just going to pass with this Thraben Charm up, to be honest. It's not great, but what are you going to do? More land, more crimes. I know, but when it's only a 1 of, it's hard to always make sure you have it. And I don't think we would want more than 1, but... I agree, more land. That is one reason that I think it'd be okay to go up to 21, is that we have crimes. We have, I mean, like, Jolted Awake's cycle. We have a lot of card draw. There's a lot of reasons it would be okay. I just know there's some games where it would be brutal to get that flooded. I could 3-Bin Charm now, but they brainstorm in response, and it's not great. Please give me a land. All right, that's a land, and it's a blue one. More crime. I know you want more crime. So I could refurb and then Glinthawk now. Again, they could discard another snacker. If they get 2 snackers, it's just so bad. Like, all of our aggression's gone. Plus, we don't need to Glinthawk a refurb when we have a Cryogen now going to be happening. Yeah, I think we're going to pass and see if they got anything. They hardcast a Snuff Out. Well, I guess I'll exile their graveyard. Well, I should wait until this is in their graveyard. I'm going to exile their graveyard while they're tapped out, though. So, I mean, that holds off terrors for a little while longer. Play a refurb, counterspell that. I'm going to play a relic. Now they could have another counterspell, but then hopefully the next relic gets through. Okay, yeah. I preferred the relic to get through than the refurb, which is why I led with the refurb. Also, they knew about that, so just gives them less information about what to counter. They have a Murmuring Mystic. We have a Cast Down and a Tithing Blade. They don't have double blue. They specifically left up black because they could have just left up double blue, which means they could have a Dispel or something, but it could also just mean they have like a Cast Down. Oh, they don't have a Swamp. That's why they hardcast the Snuff Out. I gotcha. I could Tithing Blade, but it's just if they get if they just have anything to cast, it doesn't work. I think we're just going to cast this down. I'm going to assume they kept like a cast down up of their own. That's my hope. And that they don't have a counterspell. All right. Now if they want to cast this down, that's fine. Oh, actually, I should have probably Jolted Awake the Glinthawk in our grave rather than playing this. Just so we had more versatile cards, but that's okay. Would have been slightly better, but another Mystic? Okay. Now they have the cast down, and Tithing Blade does not kill this probably then. Well, I'm going to attack, see if they want to cast down or whatever, cast anything before damage. No. Tithing Blade is so risky. I could also just Last Rites here for like 4. Take all their cards. That does not seem bad to me when they have a Mystic around, but I just don't really have a lot of things I want to discard. If I Tithing Blade and they have anything, it's kind of bad, because then the Tithing Blade, even if I could pick it up a couple times with Glinthawks, it's not really going to probably get through. I'm trying to figure out how I don't die to this Mystic. And, okay, say I did Last Rites for 4. I could get rid of Enforcer, 1 Relic, 1 Jolted Awake. Really kind of want this land. And then my goal is to Tithing Blade next turn. Maybe I just do it for 3, but if they have 4 spells, and they didn't play a land, so they do have 4 spells. They don't have I don't think they have a counterspell. I'm going to go for a Last Rites. I think this is the best chance we have to not die to this Mystic. We have to give up some cards, which is pretty annoying, but they're going to lose everything. And ideally, they don't like top deck a Lorien, although you never know. They're going to Unexpected Fangs in response. Okay. Well, glad we didn't go for the Tithing Blade. That also means I don't have to discard as many cards. So now we can just do these 3. 3 is good. Snuff Out, Terror, and they don't have a Swamp, so they couldn't Snuff Out. Okay, this is great. And now we play a Goldmire. Now we pass. All right. Assuming they don't top deck very well, please. We might be okay here. Swing for 3. We still need a removal spell for this. But if they draw nothing for 2 turns, I can like Tithing, Glinthawk, Tithing. Currently, I can't do both of those. I guess we attack, even though they're gaining life off of this guy. But attack first in case they have like a cast down and want to show us that they have something like that. I think we're going to try to Tithing Blade twice in the same turn. So I think we just start with like a Cryogen to try to draw more lands. This up. Seat is great. Cryogen and Enforcer costs 1. Okay. All right. So they're going to have 2 cards to get around this Tithing Blade. So I'm still not confident that's going to work very well, but we'll see. They play a land, so only 1 card. Well, we're going to attack on the off chance they block with one of these guys, which seems unlikely, but here's a Tithing Blade. That goes through. Glinthawk. I probably should have cast the Mirrored Enforcer. Oh, it worked. All right. They didn't have anything. They drew kind of poorly then, which is good. We pick up the Tithing Blade, we kill their guy, and then we win from there. All right. Yeah, them not having a Swamp there was very good for us. So they couldn't play the Snuff Outs. All right, this hand is decent. Last Rites win. Yes, it did. It absolutely crushed that game, which is really nice because I was fretting over what spell to cast, and I believe I made the right choice, which feels good. Skyfisher. Okay. Aqueduct. So they're going to be tapped out, so I can get this Familiar down. Ooh, okay. Good thing we're drawing lands in general. Might as well just play this here, though. They could discard a Snacker, but ideally Thraben Charm can clean that up. The Thraben Charm, when we did, was also really good. I was pretty happy with like how long we held it until they were tapped out, because then that Terror was never able to come down, plus the Snacker never came back, so that was pretty good. Duress is not bad. We're just going to go to attacks. Also, they discard a Terror, not a spell to cast the Terror, which feels like they have a lot of those in their hand, probably. All right, so I probably just Skyfisher. It gets countered pretty easily, so maybe I just wait, and then next turn I can Duress, see what's up, and then I can Skyfisher maybe? That's probably fine. I could have like a Dahada's Ploy here. Yeah, look at that. Well, if they discard a Snacker, I might just Thraben Charm. Okay, they discard an Island, because this also has Jumpstart, so like I could get them both, but I'm not just going to throw it out for one spell if it's a ploy. Brainstorm. Seems like they're looking for lands. Wait, no, they just discarded a land. They've been very patient about like just holding up mana every turn. So the fact that they're brainstorming right now is weird if they're not looking for lands. I don't know. Unless they have like a Gurmag they're going to run out right now. They're just running out of Snacker. Okay. Surely they're not going to miss their land drop when they just discarded one, though. Okay, Mortuary Mire to return the Terror to the top of their deck. That's an interesting include. I can get rid of the Terror permanently. I kind of like the Terror just being in their hand when we have a Thraben Charm. Plus, I kind of want to hold the Thraben Charm for the Snacker, so I think we're just going to pass on that. If I had 4 mana, I probably would Tithing Blade and then Thraben Charm, but we don't. So I think I just Duress while they're tapped out. Well, I could just Skyfisher, Refurb, make him discard a card, because then Duress allows me to get through like a Skyfisher or something next turn. That's probably better. I could also attack with the Refurb, let them trade, and then Thraben Charm. That's also an idea. I don't think I need to do that right now, but I could probably get away with doing that next turn or something. Discard a Consider. They're going to draw a Terror for turn with 3 spells in graveyard. So if they want to play one, that's fine. Cycle Alorian, so that's 4 spells. And there's the Terror. Okay. I mean, they probably won't take it because they'll see it coming, but I could attack with this, and if they trade, then I can Tithing Blade this. And if they don't, I can just play another Skyfisher, maybe? Well, I'm going to attack. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These would be 2. I could also just play a couple Enforcers this turn if this survives. That could be good. It does. Because I could play a Tithing Blade and then play 2 Enforcers. A Tithing Blade gets the Snacker and they bring them right back. I guess maybe I should Duress first. Because if they have like a whole bunch of Terrors, maybe I just want to Thraben Charm them now. They have another Terror and 2 Snuff Outs. They're playing a lot of non-black or non-swamp black sources for how many Snuff Outs they have. Their hand is not very good. It's 1 removal spell and a Terror. So if I Thraben Charm now, the Terror doesn't come down for a very long time. And we get rid of the Dahada's Ploy, so they're kind of stuck in the water. Now the Snacker sticks around, which is annoying, but I think that's still probably for the best. We take 1 smack here from the Terror, but then we get down 2 Enforcers, and then it's going to be really hard for them to attack because I can triple block even through the Snuff Out. They're going to snuff this out and then swing with both guys, sure. Also, if we just get another Terror, or another Tithing Blade, or some way to maybe like a cast down to kill the Snacker, we can get rid of the Terror. For now, nothing. They don't even play an island. I guess they keep it for the Refurb. So I can swing, Tithing Blade them. They lose a Snacker. Skyfisher, bring back the Tithing Blade. If they don't find a way to get another creature, draw 3 cards, I can kill the Terror the following turn. Yeah, it feels like getting the Skyfisher down is pretty good value here. I could also just play the Skyfisher, play the Refurb. I take an island from them. Not super relevant. Probably worse. So let's just do Tithing Blade, double Enforcer, and Skyfisher. So we kind of have a triple block. So even if they have a removal spell, we can still kill their guy. They have 2 unknown cards, play their island. They could just have a counter spell for the Tithing. That would obviously work too. Yeah, well, I think we just send it? I guess if they have a counter spell, they do that, then they get their own Terror down for 5 mana. That's not great. They can't really attack. You know, I'm going to swing for 4 here. I guess if they have an unexpected... I was going to say, they can't really race us. If they attack for 5 here, then we get to hit them for 8 with the Enforcers, plus that's just lethal here. If they have an unexpected Fangs, that could be bad. So if I go for a double block and they have a removal spell, it's rough. Now that we attacked with the Skyfisher, we don't have the triple block. They play another island, and they don't attack. Okay, and we're just getting lands, but that's okay. If they really had nothing going on, they could have played the Terror there for 6 mana, but clearly they have something they're holding up. I'm going to guess it's a counterspell, and we win the match. Nice. Definitely a bit of a tougher, interesting one, but Tithing Blade wins out over Terror again. All right, here's that awkward mana again, although compasses are back in our deck, but I mean, this doesn't cast anything relevant. Maybe a cast down, but we got to get rid of that. This one's not great either because we don't have blue mana, but if we find blue mana, it's pretty good. Sorry, Ben, but I think Raven's Crime's got to go to the bottom here. Currently, we're wanting to play our lands, so yeah. Glint Hawk. I'll play a Vault so that we have more artifact lands down. I'm not expecting the Bojuka Bug to be super relevant. I mean, I guess if they're a Grixis Affinity or even Esper or whatever, and yeah, a Blood Fountain could be good, but we're certainly just going to play the Bojuka Bug if we don't get another land here. We do. Well, it's not a blue one, but I guess if they just play something here, we cast it down and then we can Bojuka Bog. I guess that's a little bit of value, but if it's like a refurb, I don't love that. If it's a Mirror Enforcer, it's not bad. There's a Wellspring. They gonna miss their land drop, maybe? Maybe they're just deciding between, yeah, Bridge and untapped land or something. Come on. Bobble's not great. It can kill refurbs and things, so I'm not just gonna run it out for no value. Not this turn anyway. There's an Enforcer. Here's an Enforcer. Well, I'm gonna cast one down. Well, they have a billion mana to sacrifice it and draw some cards off it. Probably gain 7 life too. There it is. Seat of the Synod, please. Blood Fountain. I mean, I could Grim Bauble, Glint Hawk, Bauble it again, and then they just buy them both back, and it doesn't do much. I think I'll just play a Blood Fountain. I think I'm gonna dig. I could discard a Thoughtcast because we can't cast them here, but I really think Thoughtcasts are going to be good, going to be our key to victory, so I think we just get rid of this Bauble that really doesn't do too much. I mean, I still don't regret that, but obviously this does not do anything. Do I want to Glint Hawk back the Blood Fountain for another draw next turn? No, I don't think so. I feel like our mana between both leagues has just been so rough today, and I stand by the other league had some mana issues, but this one is pretty much just the standard list I've been playing, and it still feels a lot more awkward than usual. Well, we will get rid of one of those to this guy. And what else they got? Swing for 4. Come on, Skyfisher. I can bounce Bojuka Bog, get rid of that Enforcer. I mean, that's not great. I think I just Glint Hawk this Fountain. Now we'll do it. We'll pitch a Thoughtcast. Another Blood Fountain. That's exactly what we were wanting. Does it even matter to play? I guess we'll play it. I maybe should just hold it for another refurb of theirs. Yeah, especially if I'm going to block here. I was thinking, well, if I'm blocking, we're going to be losing guys. I want to bring them back with the fountains, so they'll be getting some use. There's another refurb right there. I mean, it's got to be the Thoughtcast, but until I get something relevant, this Skyfisher's not doing much good either. Ideally, Dust to Dust should just make this much better for us. Game 2 and 3, this matchup. But honestly, I don't think it should be a bad matchup for us. Game 1, we're just drawing very poorly. I'm going to trade here. They have a Spell Bomb for our Blood Fountains. Perfect. We get another Glint Hawk. I almost always I play out games until the last possible moment. This one's feeling miserable, and I don't think there's any way we can come back from it, so let's just get into the next one. Dust to Dust obviously is good. Duress is good. Thraben Charm is decent. I kind of like having at least one way to blow up a Makeshift Munitions in the deck, whether it's like a Blue Blast or a Thraben Charm. Bauble is not necessary. Tithing is not terrible. It's not great. Fumes is honestly kind of okay if they have like an all refurb or hand or something, but it's not amazing. Flicker does not seem particularly amazing here. Our mana's being weird, so I feel like I want to keep Encompasses, but generally I think I take them out here. Although with double dust or triple dust to dust, where that's kind of the main game plan, maybe we just keep them in so that we can ideally just play these as early as possible. I guess Tithing Blade is more effective than a Cast Down. Cast Down's not really needed. Jolted versus Spell Bombs. Yeah, they did just seed 2 Blood Fountains. So yeah, we have Blood Fountain and Jolted Awake, and they have Spell Bombs. So it's possible that cutting some of them is right. Jolted Awake does also cycle, and also having more ways to bring things back from the graveyard is kind of decent against the Spell Bomb, because if they use one, then you can just you still get them with the next one. I think it's probably fine. They're also, they saw 2 Blood Fountains, so for that reason, they're probably going to keep in Nile Spell Bombs, but, in general, they're not going to know we're playing Jolted Awake, so they might even side those out. Jolted Awake brings back our creatures, Cryogens, our Tithing Blades. We are cutting, I guess, only one card that, it brings back. I think it would be okay to, cut maybe 1 or 2. I guess I do like Thraben Charm. Maybe we do that. I still think having a couple of them in is fine. I like Raven's Crime in this match. I honestly think Jolted or Last Rites probably not necessary, but Raven's Crime is nice because you can use it on multiple turns. Last Rites, maybe you can take away their whole hand once, but well, it does not have any blue. Again, but this hand looks solid. I'm not going to get rid of this. It also can cast Dust to Dust on turn 3 if we draw that. They start with just a Swamp, trying to play around the Dust to Dust. Okay. I could play a Refurb here, but I think I just Duress them, see what's up, and then also next turn I can do Refurb, Glint Hawk, Refurb. All right. They have only 2 lands, and one of them's not an artifact. 2 Wellsprings, which is unfortunate because that is what I want to take. Makeshift. I did bring in 2 Thraben Charms for that. Thoughtcast, Bargain. Probably just the Bargain then, right? Because then they'll have Wellsprings that ideally they can't sacrifice for a few turns. I think that's the pick. But if I could have stopped them from playing anything relevant on turn 2, I would certainly have done that. It'd be really funny if they were able to successfully play around Dust to Dust for a few turns, but unless they're playing a weird list, this should be the only non-artifact land in their deck, so I'm not really expecting that to last very long. Alright, and we do get to just refurb, Glinthawk refurb, probably discard Toxin here, Makeshift, fair enough, then Toxin here, yeah, there it is. Okay, they find another land, and they could Wellspring and then Thoughtcast. Oh, they have a Black Mage's Rod, and then they could Thoughtcast. Yep, Jolted Awake. So I think we're just going to do Beatdown while attacking their hand. I could go really aggressive if I wanted to do Beatdown. I could Skyfisher, pick up the Vault, play another Skyfisher, but it's only 2 extra damage this next turn, and then I'm wasting 2 additional, like, I'm either picking up the Familiar, in which case it's not more damage, or I'm picking up a land, and then I'm wasting 2 discards of a refurb, and that just does not feel like what we want. They have a refurb. I'm just going to discard this Cryogen. They actually open up the Cryogen to be Jolted Awake. That's really funny. That's pretty good for us. They get a Mirror Enforcer. They only have 1 card in hand and no black mana open. So I could just Skyfisher the Familiar, take the card. If it's like a Galvanic or something, then it's kind of annoying actually if they do that. I don't think the card's probably that important. I'm going to make that decree. We're just going to attack. We're kind of on the beatdown, and then I'm going to probably Jolted Awake Cryogen Relic, and then Skyfisher. They do make that trade. Bring back the Cryogen, pay 2 energy for it, draw a card, another Cryogen. Hopefully they'll make us discard that too. I'll play a Skyfisher, pick up the Relic, which I can't currently cast again, which is pretty funny and annoying, but it did draw us 2 cards, and they're trying to figure out what to do. If they do kill like a Glinthawk or something with a refurb or just a Galvanic, then I can bring it back with a Jolted Awake, which currently doesn't yield much value, but keeps up the aggression. They are really tanking. What could be going through their mind? No one knows. All right, they bargain away a Wellspring. Draw 3. I don't know if they were trying to figure out if they wanted to like bargain away a Mirror Enforcer for the extra life, which is fair, but I don't know. Now they have a Spell Bomb, okay, and an Enforcer. Pretty decent turn from them. This allows them to race us with their Enforcers potentially. Spell Bomb also makes our Jolted Awake worse. Of course, we can cycle it. I swear to God, I have not changed our mana base in this version of the deck at all, and we just cannot find a blue mana to save our life. I guess I have to not attack now because these guys are going to kill us. So, and then they are going to hold up the Spell Bomb. So I think I'm going to cycle this to see if we find like a bridge or something that's blue. I mean, that is comedy. I can't deny, but that's not quite what we wanted. Yeah, it's pretty great, isn't it? I don't know. I'm sure it's just, you know, variance and stuff, but sometimes it does just feel like it's not your day. It's like everything goes wrong, and then you play the exact same deck later, and it things go right. I don't know. Heard you like Cryogen Relic. Yeah, I do, and yet I think I could be okay with three fewer at this moment. Well, if they attack with an Enforcer or multiple, they attack with a hero too. Part of me wants to, if I double block, a Galvanic Blast gets us. If I triple block, they'd have to have 2 Galvanics, but if they actually have a Toxin, of which they do have 1 in their discard pile, so they probably only have like 1 more in their deck. But if they have a Toxin Analysis, they get to eat all 3 of these, which is really bad. I feel like the only reason they'd attack with a hero token here into a Skyfisher is either a Toxin Analysis or like a Makeshift Munitions, but they've already lost the munitions. So I could do like this and this, which means they have to have a Toxin here and a Galvanic Blast to really take full advantage. But we still get got by a Galvanic, but I guess since the hero dies, it's kind of a 2 for 2. Yeah, like if this hero wasn't attacking, I think I'd block here because I just really don't think the chance of them having another Toxin is super high. But I just don't know why this hero would be attacking. So I feel like they got to, which means I don't want to block here. I guess we're doing this. I can't just not block, unfortunately. Oh, is this working? Maybe they just have like a breath weapon. Maybe I misevaluated. It's still not the worst for us, but in fact, it's still better than triple blocking the Mirror Enforcer because they could, yeah, it looks like breath weapon. Okay, well, not the worst. Now they have a Cryogen just to rub it in our face. Well, it's real fun here. Winning a match that we losing a match that we absolutely should be winning because of our Dust to Dusts, which we've seen none of. And it's just, we have a whole bunch of sources of blue mana. Look at this. We have 9 blue sources plus 2 compasses, 11 cards that we could draw that would let us cast these. They have a refurb. Oh, wow, take it. Take them all. The Blood Fountain, which they can't currently use, but if they can get next turn, I mean, we're dead if we don't draw something good here. That's Glinthawk. Well, that's pretty frustrating. We're gonna I have time for one more match. I would like to have a good match. We can lose if the gods want us to, but I'd just like to have a reasonable match where we don't draw terribly. That is the dream. Well, we have a Cryogen Relic we can cast. Generally the best start we can have. Now, no white mana, and I'm sure the deck will try to screw us over there, but we do have a Cryogen into a Thoughtcast. We could just get Spell Pierced. I mean, Ancient Den is good. We're going to go for a Relic. There's so much blue in the format right now. I feel like every single time I play, every opponent is blue. What deck should we play if there's so much blue? I mean, if there's a lot of Terror, which there is, then this is a good deck to do it with, but it's just blue in general. I almost feel like I could start main decking Pyroblasts and be fine. They ponder, Glacial Floodplain, I'm going to guess Familiars probably? Navigator's Compass. Alright, this is a reasonable start. So I can Thoughtcast and then Skyfisher. That'll draw us 3... Oh, but we'll bounce this, so we'll have to discard. Mardu Synth with Blasts. Yeah, that wouldn't be terrible. I think we talked about some of the issues with like Blasts in Synth because you can exile them with it and then not be able to use them, but generally, I don't think it's a big deal, and certainly if I'm main decking Pyroblast, it probably is fine. Or Black Sack, also correct answer, I guess. Yeah, I mean, Black Sack is very good against Terror and High Tide, less so against Fairies, but if you tune your deck right, you can be good against Fairies too. I guess we're just Thoughtcasting. Alright, that's good, because then I can Glint Hawk and Refurb, so I don't have to discard, because I have 2 spells to cast, even though I still want to pick this up for the value. Alright, they discard a foil. Yeah, definitely going to be Familiars here. I haven't played a lot of Black Sack recently, to be honest, so I should try to play that a little bit more. Godfarer's Faithful and a Ponder. Next turn we have 5, 6 artifacts, so I can get down an Enforcer. I can't currently get down Enforcer and Cryogen and Skyfisher, but maybe another Ponder. Tithing Blade would be a good one to find. Their deck's very reliant on creatures, so just being able to systematically pick them off would be really good. Another Cryogen. I mean, I'm not complaining too much this time, but, you know, we are still getting flooded with the Cryogens for some reason. There's a bridge. So, yeah, what are we doing here? I mean, we're attacking for 4. That's a given. I don't really need a Skyfisher. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so I'm just going to play a Compass, get our bridge down, and we can play an Enforcer. So this is the most pressure we can apply this turn. Plus Compass makes it so that we have 2 blue, so we can start playing multiple relics or cracking them or whatever. Fumes is not going to be very relevant in this match unless they get like a Mermaid Mystic to stick around for a while. Just throwing out an Archaeomancer. They got Lorien, Ponder, or Foil. They take a Lorien. Thoughtcast. I think we'll start with that. More Thoughtcasts. Attack for 8, and I don't really like tapping out against Archaeomancer stuff, but we don't have anything to do at the moment. Plus, they did pick up a Lorien. Maybe they're just going to cast that. That's a pretty simple way of looking at them picking up a Lorien, but I think I just get down a Skyfisher, pick up this Cryogen, and then see where we're at from there. Another Thoughtcast. Okay, I could put down another Skyfisher, then we are applying 12 damage to them, which does mean if they just play a Lorien that they would be taking lethal, so they'd have to block. That's not irrelevant. I'd have to pick up like a Compass, or I could just play a Cryogen for more value. I think I kind of like the pressure here. We don't need more value, so I'm fine picking up this Compass, and I don't know if their plan is to Lorien here. They could easily do a million other things, but if that was like, oh, well, I'll just reset my hand this time, then at least they're going to have to chump with one of these. They play an Ash Barrens. They cast a Muldrifter. Okay, fair enough. Same type of thing, though. They have one more blocker, but they're still going to have to block with something here. So we have 12 damage on them. Let's Thoughtcast. We're getting a lot of our engine pieces, which is great for value, but I would love to see some removal, which we're not seeing at the moment. Let's see what they decide to chump with. Or trade with the Muldrifter, potentially. Godfarer's Faithful, okay. Have to play a Compass to get blue. I think I just want to draw 2 Thoughtcast. We're going to probably have to discard, but this gives us the most chance to draw like a Cast Down or something that we can use. Tithing Blade's not bad. We are tapping out, but not tapping out doesn't do much here. So I might as well make sure, might as well eat one of their guys, I think. And they certainly could like Ephemerate, pull some stuff up, but they have no other guys, so they're not gaining life. They're not currently reducing the cost of their spells, so the chances they can do much with that Ephemerate loop are low. They just cast a Lorien here. Well, that does not seem like it's going to work for them. Alright, you get game 1, which is nice. Duress and Last Rites, again, are pretty good. Thraben Charm is good for Graveyard and Creature Hate. And honestly, Negate's not bad. They do play like Loriens and a lot of counter spells. We saw Foil. Snaps and Ephemerates could be pretty crucial to counter as well. Grim Bauble I like because it can take out a Muldrifter or an Archaeomancer. Cast Downs and Tithings are good. Fumes doesn't do much. Ghostly Flicker is okay. Jolted Awake is fine. Happy Monday, bro. CryoBlade forever. Hell yeah. It surely is one of the best decks of all time. You can quote me on that. Because of the day it is, Compass feels invaluable. But in general, this is a match where I would cut this because life gain is not super relevant. Jolted Awake. The fact that we don't... Jolted Awake doesn't really get back Tithing Blade, but it can get back Skyfisher or Glint Hawk for Tithing Blade, but they have some counter spells, otherwise they're not blocking a lot. Feels like Jolted Awake probably isn't going to be the most relevant. Something like that. Definitely a match where Raven's Crime or Last Rites can just win us the game. Oh my gosh, we have a hand that has all 3 colors of mana to start. I didn't even think this was legal. This is honestly a really good hand, because we get a Tithing Blade on turn 2. Bog's not bad either. As soon as they start playing creatures, we can start Tithing Blading and then, like, Glint Hawking them back. There's a familiar. I'm cheating. I mean, look. Ooh, another Tithing Blade. Based on how the games have been going so far, you would think I'm cheating to have 3 colors of mana. We just lost with 4 Cryogen Relics in hand, because we didn't have any blue. It was a bad time. They ponder. They shuffled, and then they're preordaining. Looks like they're looking for another land, maybe. They did mulligan once, so definitely might not have the best hand ever, but yeah. Play an island, and then another preordain. Blood Fountain. So I could just Skyfisher back the Tithing Blade. I don't hate that, because creatures are so important, but we already have a Tithing Blade. I could just Duress to try to take what they're going to do. Next turn, then I could, like, Glint Hawk. Yeah, let's Duress, I think. Cryogen and Ghostly Flicker. Ghostly Flicker, we can just make sure there's no creatures on the board, so it doesn't really matter. Cryogen Relic seems pretty good. We'll get rid of that. If they just, like, they don't have anything to do other than maybe a Divination Muldrifter or a Sunscape Familiar, and if they Familiar, we can just Tithing Blade it away. They start with the Ponder, and there's the Sunscape. Gonna meet its doom. Negate. Alright, we're just gonna Glint Hawk back the Tithing Blade, play that, and then Bajuka Bog them away. Alright, and we win the match. Alright, and we are 2-1. I'm gonna have to call it there, because it's getting a little bit late. For me. I mean, it's late into the afternoon. I gotta make dinner and stuff. But, you know, the deck is working, maybe. Generally, it works pretty well. Something's preventing that from happening today, but I appreciate everybody hanging out and watching. Bad move on opponent's part. Yeah, I mean, Divinationing the Muldrifter would have been better there, but, like, they didn't necessarily know that. I think they had to go for the highest play. Have a good night. Yeah, have a good night to everybody else. Enjoy dinner. I certainly will. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Thank you so much to my $10 and up patrons or Metafy subscribers, including Howard Granger, Laars, JMW, Rafa Rodriguez, JDNPX, Ill Intent, Jason Golombiewski, Groma, Halkaz, Ricardo Pasqualato, and Cody Cowell. I really appreciate the support. Thank you so much, and I will see you all next time.